106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Friday night edition of Chicago Corner, our last of 2022, if you can believe it. It's been quite an interesting year in Chicago regarding the politics, people, culture, and news that we report on every Tuesday and Friday. So let's get into it tonight. I want to also announce, though, at the top of the show, we are going to be, and by we, I mean Kira and I. Kira will be back one more time, live streaming tomorrow during the day, as we have partnered with Kerberos Media in New York to host their morning lineup of live stream panels. And we are going to be going on, oh God, now I'm forgetting the time because of this Eastern and Central Standard Time. I believe we start at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We have these live streams linked on our Chicago Corner YouTube page. We will be simulcasting with Savvy Sabs, Hardlands Media, and some of the other podcasters over at Kerberos Media. Now, unfortunately, Kerberos was going to live stream their New Year's Eve day panels, except they got a YouTube copyright strike for something a year old, everybody. And it was about Julian Assange. And I'm going to say Julian Assange. Fuck you, YouTube, to censor anybody that is trying to win this whistleblower's freedom for doing his job, exposing corruption, exposing the criminal acts of governments in the U.S. and all over the country. So Kerberos got copyright struck for something from a year ago, which prevents them from monetizing or getting any live chat super chats. 2 years old. Thank you, Warren. You know what, Warren? Damn, I don't know if you're set up to Warren, I don't know if you're set up to do a live stream right now, but I am going to email you our login link here, although I don't know if you're doing your clip show still. I know that you had a show that started a little while ago with Extra Bullets highlights from the year. Are you still live streaming, Warren? Yeah, ScrewTube, right? Actually, Kit's, okay, yeah, so Kit's talking. I haven't been in the chat because I'm juggling things here, but let me also bring in my co-host for the evening after I set up our show background, because, you know, it's one guy clicking buttons over here. There we go. All right. Of course, you know him, you love him, Ed Heller.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know why I'm talking like this. I think maybe it's left over from Lori. I don't know. It's just, hold on. I might just need a beverage.
Yeah, you're going to need a lot of water tonight, my friend. You're going to do Lori.
Oh, okay.
And really, who wants to do Lori? But that's another conversation to have.
Oh, dear Lord.
But yeah, so getting back to the point, unfortunately, Kerberos was struck by YouTube. They cannot gain any revenue tomorrow for their entire all-day live stream that they've produced that we're participating and helping out with in their super chats. So I believe you can watch the live stream also on Kerberos Media's Rockfin. Are they? I don't know if they're on Rumble yet.
I think they're working on it. They'll let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warren says his clip show will be done by 9 p.m. his time.
I will be off by
2 multiplied by 7. That's 8 p.m. our time.
All right, so you know, can you send
20
him,
minutes?
Do you have his email address?
I could. You want me to send him a link to the StreamYard?
Yeah, send him a guest invite. Warren, I'd love to have you on to share, since Warren's a little bit more connected with things happening over there. He can fill us in. Regardless, we will be live streaming tomorrow. Kira and I, we've got 4 panels. We've got the ice-breaking viral video roundup, which will be Kira and I sharing goofy videos that we found from YouTube and other platforms that Jimmy and Warren will be joining us in reviewing, laughing about, and commenting on. Then we have a panel afterwards called Don't Look Up, Life Imitates Art. And this is basically a panel discussion in which we will be joined by Case Study QB in regards to the movie Don't Look Up as a reflective metaphor regarding mainstream media's complete abdication of covering so many stories that are filtered through the lens of what the deep state and corporate-owned media want us to know. That'll be an interesting conversation as a filmmaker. I think it's going to be kind of cool to talk about how there are a lot of entertaining movies that unfortunately are shining a light on the horrible abdication of mainstream news and what they do and don't report and how they report it through the eyes of, more of a kind of a comedic, irreverent take with that film. Then we have a mental well-being in 2022 panel that will be headlined by Kira. And a lot of that panel is going to be talking about how news impacts our mental health and just what's happening in the world and how we can try to, I guess, protect ourselves and guard ourselves against the overwhelming information barrage we get every day with the world around us while we're also trying to manage our own lives and our own issues. Then our final panel will be Kira, I, Kit, and the lovely and talented and very, very insightful Fair and Balanced, who co-hosts with Kit on Hard Lens Media on Mondays. Farron will be joining our Top 10 News in Chicago panel because Farron is actually from Chicago. And I actually had a phone call with her tonight. A wonderful, wonderful lady. And we've got a top 10 list of the most important stories that we saw from Chicago's news cycle. And, part of the intention of this New Year's Eve day live stream is so that broadcasters from across different channels can appear on each other's panels and help cross-promote traffic to all of our channels. So we hope that we can help provide some exposure to Case Study QB and Fair and Balanced from our viewers here who might not know them, and that their viewers will discover Chicago Corner. So when we were thinking about who we're going to have on the Top 10 News in Chicago panel that can hopefully give us a little bit more exposure, because Kit, Kira, and I are all Chicago-based, appealing to our own viewers. Farron, who's in Washington, D.C., who's got a tremendous following, is also from Chicago originally. So she's going to understand these stories that we're talking about and be educated enough to comment on them as we analyze and talk about the important top 10 news stories here in Chicago. So we begin, here we go, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 10 a.m. Chicago time, and we'll be going through 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 2 o'clock Chicago time. So we hope that you guys can join us tomorrow if you don't have plans during the day. We've got these great panels. They'll each be an hour each. And we will be simulcasting on Hard Lens Media, Oreo, get off the keyboard, Sabby Sabs' channel, and Kerberos Media. Don't scratch me. Oh my God. Sorry guys, I just lost, hold on a second here. Okay. I kind of lost control of the keyboard here with what we're doing. So that'll be happening tomorrow. Please join us and support the live stream. Yeah, there he is. Off the keyboard and onto the screen. So, Ed, if you're able to, here he comes. I'm doing a show here, buddy. Do you understand? Everybody thinks you're cute, but you can't interrupt things.
He knows.
He does know.
He knows, Jerry.
He totally knows.
He doesn't, I don't think he completely understands the idea of the internet, but he knows you're doing something on this screen and he wants to be part of it.
He wants in, or he wants the attention, the same kind of attention. So do you have Warren's email? Were you able to send him the link?
I was able to send him a link through the Tweety box, and I hope that he got it.
Awesome.
If he knows to check that.
And do you have the first story queued up that you can share the screen?
Sure. I can do that.
I've got it on this end that I can read, but I'm already at 40. Ed introduced me to this great little doohickey called Memory Cleaner. and I restarted the computer, and all I have open is my Chrome and a couple Chrome windows, and I'm already at 49% memory use. So Chrome is a big memory hog, everybody. And unfortunately for us, StreamYard.
You're only using 49%
so far. What are you at?
74.
But you're not having any kind of buffering issues, are you?
I hope not. People will let us know if they are. But it's a juggling act to make sure that there's no background programs running in memory in it. Because I am a graphic artist also, and I like to use Adobe products. They like to run all these little programs in the background of your computer, even when you're not using them.
Yeah.
And I can't afford to have you hogging all that RAM when I desperately need it to live stream. Adobe, what are you doing?
And StreamYard doesn't work in Safari. It only works in Chrome. I think it might work in Firefox, but I don't have Firefox. Anyway, we can stop talking about how the sausage is made. We just want to make sure we got a smooth broadcast going out to everybody. So
enough is enough with the sausage, Jerry. I'm sorry that I said pepperoni. I meant to say sausage. Leaving now.
That's what she said. All right, let's go into our first story of the evening. Now, there's a lot to unwrap with this one because a lot of people have weighed in. And I did a little bit of research online myself in matters related to this story. But it was announced that many of the migrants who were dropped off on our doorstep by Governor Abbott in Texas, thank you very much, are going to be housed at the the closed Woodlawn Elementary middle school. Middle school? Or is it public school? Grade school. So as reported by Block Club Chicago, there's been a lot of fallout from this. Blindsided by the city, Alderman Taylor vows to fight mayor's plan to place migrants in closed Woodlawn school. Some Woodlawn neighbors are worried adding more people to the community will lead to resources being spread thin in the area. And there is a very good point to that. Resources being spread thin that are already way too minimal to begin with. I think it's very important for us to support and be a sanctuary city for migrants. However, we're not taking care of our own homeless population. We're not taking care of the people who live in these neighborhoods on the south and west sides. And by the way, the research I was talking about earlier that I did, I was curious to know how many closed elementary schools there were on the north side to perhaps put migrants in. And there aren't. All of the closed, at least from the research I did, and I do have a link in our show notes, all of the closed schools are on the south and west sides. So, I was going to make a snarky remark, well, why not, house some of them on the north side? But you know what? There's also plenty of vacant buildings that could be repurposed if they wanted to, but I think it's very telling that the solution is throw them on the south side where everything is already lacking to begin with.
It was all according to my plan, Jerry. And you guys can't do nothing about it now, and you can't catch me, suckers, because I'm in Japan.
That's what you think.
I take responsibility for what happened because it happened on my watch.
Yeah,
Kaiju
are pretty effective, aren't they, Jerry?
What's that?
Kaiju are pretty effective, right? Godzilla.
Everyone's super weapon.
Super big ass monsters.
Oh, hey, all right. So let's not take up too much of his time. We're gonna table this story on what's happening in Woodlawn and welcome Uncle Warren from Extra Bola Kerberos Media.
Oh, wait, let's see if the spotlight thing works.
Does it?
There it is.
Jerry.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on? I'm in Chicago. Let's go have a pie.
He does. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Can you provide a little bit more insight into what YouTube is doing over at Kerberos in relation to, I think I hit most of the major points, but I think the devil's in the details. Can you give us a little bit more insight or detail on what happened there?
Well, yesterday, Jimmy Sunderland she got an email Well, she was trying to go live with her show, right? Her show What on Kerberos there, and couldn't go live on YouTube, so she checked the email and turned out that they had given a strike to it was a Julian Assange video that Misty Winston had done, because Winsty I'm combining names. So Misty and Glory Jones had a show on KRTD, and I think they were discussing that. So that was 2 years ago. And so all of a sudden, out of the blue, they get the strike that says, I was like misleading information or something.
I wonder if someone reported that, Warren. I wonder if there are enemies or ne'er-do-wells who don't like indie news or what Kerberos is doing, that they decided, what do you want to bet? Somebody like tipped off YouTube on something that's irrelevant, that doesn't really violate the guidelines, but because it's Assange related, the automatic algorithms kicked in and caused that strike. Because why would something from 2 years ago suddenly get flagged the day before you guys are going to do something big?
I guess
it's a little hanky.
It's a lot hanky, actually. I mean, 2 years, some random clip that it could be, maybe Kerberos is targeted, or maybe somebody who's against Misty Winston, or maybe somebody who's not an Assange fan. It could, there's bot armies all over social media now. So if they want to target you and get something taken off, these platforms are more than happy to provide those services for them too, which is just complete and utter bullshit. But yeah, so they got a strike right before the weekend, before this is to happen. Unfortunately, they'll still be able to broadcast on Rockfin. Thank goodness they have, that's why I always tell everybody in this space, diversify, make sure you have plenty of platforms, because you never know when one's going to get taken out. So they will be on Rockfin, fortunately, but unfortunately, YouTube will not be in the mix. So
take this into account, everybody. Kerberos Media's New Year's Eve daytime live stream cannot stream on Kerberos on YouTube, through Kerberos on YouTube. It's going to come through Chicago Corner, Hardlands Media, and Savvy Sabs. And Kerberos has got to use their backup on Rockfin. I so want to wean our viewers off of YouTube and just start following us on Rockfin. I've been encouraging it, but Warren, every other day I'm appealing copyright strikes that end up going away. But you know how much time out of my day it takes to have to copy and paste the YouTube dispute or fine tune it and then go back in and see new ones pop up. It's like whack-a-mole.
Well, yeah, and YouTube knows it's fair use too. They do this shit on purpose to make people work they make people work at appealing and then providing information saying, look, you pulled this for, it's fair use, we can totally do this. And a lot of times they end up removing the strike, right? Yeah. But
they always do. All the appeals that I file, those are restored, and we get remonetized for the little clips we drop in all the time as fair use.
But you got to put in the work to do it. And that's the thing. They make you work to do that shit. And it's like you said, it's very inconvenient. You got other things you got to do besides sitting there and talking with YouTube to try to get something that's obviously doesn't need to be stricken to be put back on, So that's what it is to me. It's just this, you got, like I said, you always got to have a backup. And then thank goodness that Kerberos has Rockfin too. So, hopefully they'll be on more channels too, because, who else will be next, right? It just seems so random now.
Yeah. No, there's a war against indie media, man. When mainstream media recognize everybody's paying attention to YouTube instead of their useless filtered corporate news that everybody's overpaying for in cable, and all those corporate behemoths decided to converge upon YouTube, which caused the adpocalypse, which demonetized all the indie newsmakers because suddenly the money was coming from corporate news to YouTube. It used to be YouTube, which is you and me. Now it's corporate media tube. And these are the devices that they use to basically keep people in check that might be spreading or sharing the news that mainstream filters and doesn't want people to know based on what our corporate overlords and our deep state overlords want us to know.
Yeah. It's all about, if they can't do it legally, they're just going to make it hard on you, make your life a little bit more difficult in order to get your messages out or any kind of videos and stuff like that too. It's really disgusting. Meanwhile, corporate media can do whatever the hell they want. They have so much misinformation on YouTube right now, and of course, none of that's been struck down. A lot of that is still up too. So, you know, of course, there's an obvious bias to corporate, and it's like I said, it used to be YouTube, tube, not corporate.
You. I need you. I need you on YouTube. Hey, Laney's in the chat. Welcome, Laney. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah,
Hey,
now it's them tube.
Yeah.
It's not YouTube anymore. It's them.
Yeah.
That's why I call it screw tube. You know, it's basically you get screwed it's like walking in a minefield, without a map. You know, it's like you don't know what's going to set things off, because I shared, like I was telling Kit today, I shared one of he had a clip from Hard Lens Media, and I can't remember what the content was of it, but it was pretty innocuous. It was like very benign, and I got on Twitter. I didn't get banned or anything, but I got this thing that says we're gonna cover this. They call this sensitive material, right? You know how they do, like they'll blur something out and put sensitive material in there. It's like there's no sensitive material in this. What are you doing? So like Twitter, even though Elon bought the shit, things ain't changed on Twitter either. So anybody who thinks that social media, or particularly in Twitter, is getting better, it's all bullshit.
Have you seen? Okay, so there's this one character on Twitter. I'm just going to mention her because she's so desperate to like get with Elon Musk. She used to be a representative of the AMC movement, and apparently she's an OnlyFans girl. I didn't know that until I was reading some of her Twitter. Her name's Tara Bull. And the amount of time that she spends trying to stroke off Elon for attention on Twitter, it's cringe. It's laughable. It's hilarious. And I actually commented in one of the threads where she was, propping up Elon like he's the savior of social media. I said, I think what I said was, he's not going to fuck you, Tara. It's getting really cringe. You might want to I also think I may have mentioned that he's married anyway. But yeah, that just reminded me of the whole Elon Musk thing. Everybody thinks Elon was going to democratize Twitter, and it may have democratized it so much as like less people were getting censored as far as like putting out nasty content. I mean, I don't like seeing hateful content. I think that, we can debate whether hate speech is protected speech or not. I think any speech that ends up trying to cause violence or harm to other people is something that does need to be monitored. But I'll tell you something else. Since Elon Musk took over Twitter, do you know how many more fake DMs I'm getting from clearly fake like cam models on Twitter? I don't follow any cam models at all, but I'm getting deluged with so and so followed you, and I click to see who are they. Should I follow them back? And it's like these phony cam models that are like, and I'm like, that didn't happen before.
Jerry, you're not alone there. I'm getting those too, and okay. I'm like, okay. I'm like, who?
Yeah, but you're subscribed, Ed. That's different. Okay, that you subscribe to those things. Wait, what? What happened? He's on the air. Who's he? What? I'm kidding. No, but I get those too. I get all the fake shit in there and everything.
But have you noticed more since Elon took over though? Because I have.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that speaks to like whatever they're doing behind the scenes to monetize or do ad revenue. They're he talks about, well, we're here to like figure out how many bots there are and get rid of them. No, you're not, because you've got all these like sex model bots that are now DMing people to like hope for a follow back, and then, oh, please follow me on this free website where you sign up and put up your credit card, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I mean, since we're talking about it, we can speculate that. Some of it has to do with the fact that he let a lot of people go, and so some of the people that were monitoring some of that stuff may have decided to just let it go.
That's true.
And then some of the people who were monitoring the other stuff are now dealing with other things, and he may still have people who are working on the inside that may not be with the program of what he seems to be wanting to do with redoing Twitter. But and that's not in defense of him. It's just a speculation as to what's going on right now. I mean, he probably doesn't even realize all of the inside stuff that has to go on in Twitter in order to make it a decent environment for everything. But that said, I mean, a bunch of people got reinstated who probably shouldn't have had their accounts taken away. A bunch of people got reinstated who are just going to be, endless jackasses, and that's part of the community of the public discourse, which is Twitter. You can't have it both ways if you're going to want like a free speech kind of public. What do they call it? The public square, to just be able to ban or shadow ban the voices you don't like, just because they're saying things that are uncomfortable to you.
I had not considered the fact that because he's shuffling so many workers around or firing people, it could be a labor shortage there on what people. So leave it to Ed to provide a very nuanced and fair and objective analysis that I hadn't even thought of. And you know what? You're probably right. That's probably what's happening. A lot of stuff's falling through the cracks now that people were let go and people are overworked over there.
Well, yeah. I mean, have you guys experienced like glitches on there? Like if you've tried to post like make a tweet or something like that, and it'll say, "Oops, something went wrong" or something.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was getting that before Elon, but and I think just recently,
it just seems like
it seems
like it's gotten worse.
People were having problems with the desktop app. I didn't find any problems with the mobile app.
I was trying to share something. I'm pretty much 99 to 100% on desktop whenever I do any kind of sharing or anything like that. And I was sharing. When I was sharing videos, I think I was sharing Due Dissidence videos to Twitter, right? Like I do. I share everybody's shows. And I was totally logged into Twitter, right? I had another tab open with Twitter logged in, and I was sharing something from YouTube, and then it told me, it came to this login screen, so you have to log into Twitter. I'm like, what? I'm already logged in. So, and that never happened before Elon either. I'm seeing, from a technical side, I'm seeing like a lot of glitches and just things that I mean, Ed, you said you've seen them before. I mean, I've seen them too, but not to this degree as how many and how often it's been happening,
Yeah, understaffed and overworked.
Well, and also we're just learning about like the inner workings because of all the Twitter stuff that's coming out and coming to light. So we're just learning about the tools that they actually have in their toolbox on how they can make people more or less visible, and which accounts are getting flagged for what, and who's getting shadow banned, well, they don't call it shadow banned. I'm like, yeah, but you're still shadow banning, and it's still happening. I think it's just that they're choosing a different crowd to shadow ban now. And so the crowd that was used to not being shadow banned or used to being preferred is now the most complaining about the fact that they're no longer given preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Although, and then and again, people are falling, people getting reinstated that falling back in or coming back in from the cracks, like the Krasenstein brothers. But we don't have to talk about that tonight.
I don't know who they are, but let's talk. I'd like to know after the show. Guys, I want to get us back on track with Chicago stories. Warren, do you want to stick around with us? You do?
Yeah, I'll hang out.
Awesome. Yeah. All right. Let's get back into it. We have a guest host tonight, Mr. Warren Dearman from Extra Bulla. Let me put this back in the stream. And we can talk about, we can resume where we left off. So I don't know how much you picked up, Warren, but you know that Governor Greg Abbott from Texas decided to dump migrants that came into Texas on Chicago's doorstep. And while Lori Lightfoot claimed they were welcome here because we're a sanctuary city, first, she shipped a good portion of them to a suburb called Burr Ridge, and they didn't know they were being shipped there to stay in hotels. Now she has a plan to put them in a closed down, shuttered Woodlawn Elementary School on the south side. So back into the article. The city is turning a closed Woodlawn school into a shelter for migrants after previously saying that wasn't in the cards. Officials announced the change at a community meeting Wednesday night, saying 150 migrants will move into the former site of Wadsworth Elementary, 5420 South University Avenue, starting January 6th, according to CBS 2. It's a slap in the face, said Alderman Jeanette Taylor. I thought it was called Woodlawn Elementary? Wadsworth Elementary? Because I had the I guess I got the
Or it's in Woodlawn.
it's in Woodlawn. Yeah, it's in Woodlawn. But for some reason I must have misread the school when I was preparing the thumbnail, which shows I always say I'm not a journalist, guys. I'm just sharing opinions here. So if I get it wrong,
Yeah, it's in Woodlawn.
at least I correct myself. All right. So it's in Woodlawn, Wadsworth Elementary. I was calling it Woodlawn Elementary, and it's Wadsworth Elementary. All right. The announcement came about 2 months after the mayor's office told Taylor and neighbors the school would be turned into a shelter, with Taylor saying the city leaders hadn't sought their input. They never do. Yeah. Did they seek anybody's input with NASCAR? Or did they seek anybody's input with the casino? Of course not. She just does what the fuck she was. Queen Lori is what we should start calling her. After getting pushback from residents, the mayor's office then said there were, quote, no plans to use the empty building for that purpose. Taylor said she feels blindsided by this week's announcement. I don't feel like it's fair, Taylor said. They just pulled this in September and October without having a conversation with me or the people I represent. And then to have this meeting during Christmas break when a lot of people are, well, of course, that's why they had the meeting during Christmas break, because a lot of people are still out. It's not being transparent. When has transparency ever mattered to this mayor? We're in a very difficult time right now, especially when it comes to Black and brown solidarity. This just hurts even more. Thousands of migrants have come to Chicago since late August, with Texas Governor Greg Abbott sending them on buses to Democrat-led cities. Did you also notice he dumped them in front of Kamala Harris's residence out east in the middle of the cold, freezing weather? Thanks, Abbott. Fucking asshole. It's all stunts. It's all performative to make people, I'm tough on illegal immigrants, so I'm going to I remember reading in the news that wasn't there the possibility that he's committing a crime by trafficking and moving people across state lines from Texas? And is anybody following up on that to hold him accountable or charge him? No, I guess not. Wow.
You know, it sounds like borderline kidnapping. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, these people
it's trafficking, actually. It's
moving people against their wishes across state lines.
Yeah.
Trafficking doesn't just relate to sexual; it relates to anything. When you're moving someone against their,
and they come to this country too. You know, they're fleeing whatever desperate situations they left in their old country. Then they come here and they find themselves almost out of the frying pan into the fire. You know, they get to Texas, and then this dickwad governor just puts them on a bus and sends them to God knows where. And these poor people, that just tells you the level of humanity, or the lack thereof of humanity, that these people have for other people, And
let's not forget, Warren, they're fleeing desperate situations that American imperialism probably caused in their countries to begin with, especially down south. Yeah. Especially down south.
Yeah.
The buses slowed and stopped recently until more migrants were sent to Chicago for Christmas. The city expects the buses to continue, Chief Engagement Officer Nubia Willman told residents at Wednesday's meeting, according to CBS2. The city has struggled to find shelters for all the migrants, being forced to have them stay in motels in the suburbs at points. That's led to friction with some suburban leaders, but some Woodlawn neighbors are upset about the city's plans too. They're worried adding more people to the community will lead to resources being spread thin in the area where residents are already fighting for access to food and transportation, Taylor said. And she's absolutely right. I think we're all for helping migrants and providing sanctuary. But now that's taking priority over everybody who's sleeping in tents and under the bridges in this freezing weather that's homeless in Chicago that wasn't getting aid anyway. It's taking precedence over people in these spread thin communities who aren't getting the kind of support that people who live there, who have house, who live in the communities there, have houses, are residents who are already not getting enough. In the fall, before Lightfoot's administration said it was reversing course on the plans to turn the school into a shelter, CBS documented extensive renovations at Wadsworth. CBS also reported $1.5 million was being spent on rehab work at the school. Chicago Public Schools told the outlet it was just routine maintenance work. Guys, there's an election coming up next month. Okay, February. Okay, we're at the end of December next month. You don't think that this is a calculated effort by Lightfoot to potentially curry favor with the Hispanic communities throughout Chicago?
There are vacant homes all over this city, Jerry. Why
Yes.
did they have to spend $1.5 million to rehab a shutdown school to help migrants?
I'll tell you why, Ed, because it's on the south side, out of sight, out of mind. That's why. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I was looking to see, are there any vacant schools, any closed down, shuttered schools on the north side? No, they're all on the south and west sides. So if she's got to put them somewhere, she's going to renovate this school, but it's still going to be like outside the purview of, the white community in central Chicago downtown or the north side, right? This is like the only stuff that she puts money into on the south side is for stuff that she wants to keep out of the white neighborhoods. I'm just going to say it. We're the most segregated city in the country, and our elected representatives and civic leaders completely feed into that. And they also divide us by it. My opinion.
Yeah,
So-
the same situation happened in Buffalo over this cold snap too. Did you hear about that? There was a guy. He actually. There were people left out in the cold. There people died from this cold.
I saw the people that died from the cold. But shed some light. What's one of those stories?
Well, the guy. Well, there was a gentleman that I don't know the guy's name, but he actually broke into a school so he could let people in to get them out of the cold. I mean, that's how desperate the situation was. And of course, the New York State was not going to do anything about it. And I'm pretty sure that's the same situation there in Chicago. It's just like you said, out of sight, out of mind. They're putting these poor folks, they probably have no idea what's going on, right? And they end up in this school like in the middle of winter with no idea what's going on, And the reason why they don't put them in these empty houses, you're not going to flip a house, Ed, when you got a migrant stay in there, because it ain't about houses ain't about living in anymore. It's about flipping them and making money off of them. That's why you have so many. It's not just Chicago, around the country. Everywhere. You have so many empty homes that homeless people can take advantage of, but they won't let them because of the greed. And it's all about the greed. All about the
Jimmy.
greed.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and the truth is, there's plenty of money to buy people homes to stay in, but they're choosing instead to work on their little pet projects instead, and then cry poor when people ask for city services or any type of community support other than funding law enforcement.
Big Mr. Fireberg from across the pond says Chicago should dump hundreds of defunct refrigerators outside Abbott's house. That's the Chicago way. You know what would really be the Chicago way? Now, I can't advocate for this because unfortunately I don't have Governor Abbott's address, although I wonder if that's a matter of public record. It would really suck if everybody that had a cat decided to just bag up all the used kitty litter, put it in a box, and send it to Abbott's house. I'm not advocating if people do that.
Yeah, so nobody do the thing Jerry's about to suggest.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Ed, can you research and see if his address is online anywhere?
Does he a public address? I mean, I could look to see if it's a public address. I suppose we could share that, but that would not be doxing.
No, it's not doxing if it's publicly available.
If it's publicly available and he's a public official, like he's got a governor's mansion, people should know where that is so they should know. I don't know. So they can take pictures and say, "Oh, look at this cool governor's mansion that I'm going to post on social media," and where everybody's nothing else,
where everybody's sending their used kitty litter. I didn't think we should do it. I just think wouldn't it be horrible if people did that? Because I've got 3 cats, and you have no idea how much I got to clean up here every week, putting it in boxes and bags and having to drop it over the railing to the garbage can that's downstairs. God. And I have a UPS account. I could always just generate a label, leave it downstairs, and have. I'm not saying we should do that, but wouldn't it be funny if people?
I'm saying we should do that because I will personally come to Chicago. And I will go door to door and ask people, "Hey, can I have some cat shit? It's for a good cause." And then,
here we go.
They got tours. See, we can go there.
And the address is right there online. Hey,
that's right.
I mean, it is.
What else? Right? What else would be horrible to send Governor Abbott at the governor's mansion down there in Texas? What could we reroute there? Nothing dangerous, nothing life-threatening, but what could we send a signal to this son of a bitch who's trafficking people across state lines to pander to all the bigots and the racists and the xenophobes that live down in Texas?
I would say go to geriatric chili cook-offs and collect all the used Depends undergarments.
Oh. Yikes.
Hokey smokes Bullwinkle.
Oh, and Ed, you worry about keeping me in line.
I'll get cat shit, but I'm not getting person diapers. No, forget that. But it is a good idea, though. It would be really nasty. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm an ideas guy. What can I say?
Yeah, no. It's not a bad idea. Okay, let's go back into the article though, because there's a couple other points I want to bring up to this as I get through block gloves. So Taylor thinks her residents' concerns are valid, though she's willing to work with the city to place migrants in a part of the community where they won't feel like strangers, she said. Taylor said she plans to send letters, one to the community and other to City Hall, about what she heard and what the community expectation is for the shelter and city. Taylor said Lightfoot told her I'll circle back soon. If they don't move the January 6th date back when my community is outside protesting, I'll be right out there with them, Taylor said. Of course, the mayor's office did not respond to request for comment. When do they?
You know, Jerry, every time people say that we did not respond for comment, they don't understand that we just didn't want to.
That's what it's all about.
And people should know I am absolutely transparent in the things that I do behind closed doors, Jerry.
You want to know what's most transparent about you, Mayor Lightfoot? Your fucking thin skin. That's what's transparent.
Okay, that's actually accurate. I mean, if I'm held under certain types of lighting, wow, do I glow.
I bet she does.
That's part of the reason why I like the Millennium Park Bean so much, because on the really sunny days, it feels like I'm glowing.
It's all a shiny distraction.
I gotta get back to planning my New Year's party, which I'm going to use TIF funds to pay for. See you later.
Oh, I'm sure she will. Thank you, Mayor Lightfoot. She broke into our broadcast on Tuesday, tried to cancel us. Some Big Mr. Fireberg says, get Lightfoot to feature Abbott's house on the NASCAR track. Drop the bean into Abbott's pool. All right, so here's unfortunately, it's kind of small, but this was the research I was doing when I was looking at all the vacant school properties that are for sale, that are empty. They're all on the south side. So you can check that out at WTTW. I do have it shared in the show notes. But, let's forget about all the vacant schools and realize that there's all kinds of vacant housing around the city, although Warren makes a very good point. You can't flip those. But you know what also occurs to me? Look at all of these empty schools, and why haven't they been repurposed as homeless shelters before the migrants came in? Food for thought.
Yeah.
Could it be because homeless people don't matter? But now we have to be responsive to what Abbott's doing, because that's in the news cycle, not all the people who are sleeping in tents and under bridges in the freezing weather. So
the last couple of years has proven anything. Nobody wants to, no government, big or small, wants to spend money on the actual people that need it, right? Especially the homeless situation. The homeless situation has been ignored for decades, and it's only getting worse and worse. So, even if you have these schools that they could actually fix up to help homeless people, it's still going to cost a little money to do that. Probably not that much.
No,
I mean, it's definitely not in the grand scheme when it comes to helping actual human beings. But these greedy ass governments are just that's why we live in a fascist state, because these greedy ass governments are acting just like corporations. They skimp and they do nothing for the people, and all they do is like the national government with the military. The city government is fattening the police budget. So they're the same thing here in New York. 10 billion for a police force in New York City, and you have homeless people all over the place.
Dude, all Lightfoot and many of the older people here want to do is give. They do, and they give more money to the Chicago Police Department. It's not reducing crime. In fact, the police department got 70% of federal COVID funds in 2021. Meanwhile, Chicago taxpayers paid out about, now I'm not remembering, I want to say probably more than 40 million. I'm probably misquoting the amount in police abuse settlements, right? So like we're giving them money and we're paying them to bail their asses out. I don't know that I've got that exact number, but you get the point. It's like, not only do we give them the money and it's not reducing crime, we're also paying for all of their fuck ups, killing and abusing people's civil rights in cases that are brought against the city. So yeah, it's like, law enforcement, as much as we want to respect it is not earning our respect. They're not living up to the ideals of what law enforcement is supposed to be about. I want to also introduce into the stream here, we got a press release from mayoral candidate Jamal Green, who unfortunately we couldn't go cover this morning, but he addressed the situation, and I want to share what he says, that speaking of the homeless, Jamal Green calls on Lori Lightfoot to care for Chicago's homeless. Chicago should be a sanctuary city, not just for migrants, but for everyone. See, this guy knows what it's about, man. The following is in response to Lori Lightfoot's usage of the old Wadsworth Elementary School as a means of sheltering incoming migrants, along with the request for $54 million to assist them. For every dollar we spend on migrants, we spend less than a quarter on our own citizens. Jamal Green is calling on Lori Lightfoot to halt her efforts to turn the school into a shelter because of concerns from the community. Now, I'm going to say, I love Jamal. Halt the efforts. I think there has to be some efforts, but I also think the efforts to help the migrants have to be equitably spread against also helping the homeless. And I don't think that Jamal is calling, I know he's not calling for a halt to helping the migrants, but as I'm reading this, it's in the language. He's also asking her to match the requested funds, for those homeless and dealing with mental illness in Chicago, and for her to pass the Bring Chicago Home Ordinance to create a dedicated funding stream for those unhoused. Period, exclamation point. He's absolutely right. Quote, every person on the street should be offered temporary housing immediately until we can find permanent housing and permanent funding. Jamal Green. Jamal will be giving a detailed statement outside the old Wadsworth Elementary School, now University of Chicago Charter School in Woodlawn, and that was this morning at 10 a.m. I don't know if there's video on it. I didn't find any before the show. But I thought that he kind of addresses the situation in ways that we're also analyzing.
I think any video would basically be repeated.
Yeah. There's a video in the show notes. Could you pop that up, Ed? Do you have that queued?
Hold on a second.
It's a YouTube.
That one. Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on a second.
We're bouncing our memory issues back and forth so our computers don't freeze up.
Published
I hear
report
you.
is claiming it is still working on finalizing plans to turn a vacant elementary school into a temporary migrant shelter.
That shelter would be at the old Wadsworth School in the Woodlawn neighborhood. WGN's Eric Rung is live in the newsroom with the very latest on this. Eric.
Good afternoon. The mayor's office saying the administration is still making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, but also caution things could still change.
Empty for years, Wadsworth Elementary School in the 6600 block of South Ellis may find a new purpose. The mayor's office confirming the vacant school is being considered as a temporary shelter for a portion of the.
Can you pause it for a second, Ed?
Yeah.
With all of these renovations that they're doing, and we know that's not going to reopen as a school, why not just renovate it into a permanent housing facility for migrants and homeless people?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
With all the money that's going in there, they're doing it. What, it's supposed to be temporary? Then they're going to put them somewhere else. And what are those renovations going to go towards? They're clearly not going to renovating the schoolrooms for an influx in students that are never going to go to school there, given mass migration of people living in that neighborhood getting out of there. Right? These schools are closed. Go ahead.
The other possibility is that they're calling it temporary because they don't want to put the money in to make it permanent, even if it becomes a very long-term situation. So they're making an excuse up front that it's not going to be as good as it could be because it's temporary.
Yep. Art joins us in the chat. My friend Arturo, the city should attempt to learn on how to house thousands of people because in the future, homelessness will be more prominent. He also goes on to say, there really is no true way to deal with our help to deal with or help with the epidemic that will be homelessness. I believe any solution is a lost cause no matter what. And he also goes on to say, we all look like members of a local rock band doing a podcast.
It's the Crocus reunion tour. We're back, baby. I just said,
and I also want to thank Art. I had no New Year's Eve plans tomorrow night. When we were preparing for the Kerberos New Year's Eve day live stream, I said, Kira and I want to cut out at 3 because we'll probably have plans for New Year's. I didn't. I'm always hoping at the last minute something will pop up. And my good friend Art followed through. He's like, Jerry, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? I'm like, nothing. He's like, great. There's a party we can go to. I'm like, awesome. I'm there. So thanks, Art. I'm glad that you saved my New Year's Eve.
The party's going to be here because I'm not leaving this couch. New York City on New Year's Eve. No, thank you. So I'm gonna enjoy it here with probably a couple of adult beverages, and then I'll think about my wasted life, as I usually do every New Year's Eve. So it's usually a good time. Fun.
Ed, can you resume the video?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Find the tab that
Thank you.
Bus to Chicagoland. But even before the deal is officially done, the mayor, in a tough re-election campaign, is facing sharp criticism.
Yes, she is.
Calling on the mayor to halt.
You bastards! Your criticisms are irrelevant.
That's pretty good, Jerry.
I told you the other night, our Lightfoot imitations are pretty much...
They're similar.
We can trade back and forth.
Yeah. I gotta say, I think her blazers are getting slightly better,
but her hairstyles aren't. She's still going with the Beetlejuice fright wig.
Well, I mean, I don't like to criticize really about people's hair just because mine is a nightmare sometimes. but when people do when they step up on the wardrobe, I notice. I mean, I don't know why she's doing the unkempt shirt thing, but the jacket's nice.
Criticism.
Calling on the mayor to halt this move the migrants to this building and use it as a temporary shelter because the community members are not okay with it.
Mayoral candidate Jamal Green seizing on the opportunity to go after the mayor this morning with a press conference in front of the school.
I am not against helping and being a welcoming city and moving forward resources to help folks who have been dropped off by Republican governors around the country. But we must make sure that we take care of those right here in the city of Chicago, and we take care of those who are most vulnerable landing on our streets all throughout our city.
He, like fellow mayor.
That's what he's doing with the facial hair. Okay.
Now, did that guy look mayoral or what?
Yeah.
The facial hair? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure. I'm like, he's doing something with his mustache, and I'm like, oh, that's what he's doing.
Now, I want to say, as the former mayor of the city of Chicago, even though I am long and dearly departed and past, I have every faith in this remarkable young man, Mr. Jamal Green, and I agree with everything that he says in most of his press conferences. Thank you, Coast of Harold Washington.
Mayoral candidate Willie Wilson also saying the mayor and her team was not transparent with the community about what was happening at the school. Wilson saying the mayor in October said it would not become a temporary shelter for migrants. A spokesperson for the mayor says that is not accurate.
Notice that they didn't get an actual live quote from Willie Wilson.
Because Willie Wilson always how I hear Marble is a mouth or chewing too much gum, and he can't always make out anything he say, even though he's good people. Okay.
Is not accurate. Alderwoman Jeanette Taylor, who has gone face-to-face with Lightfoot before, told the Sun-Times her constituents have safety concerns, and she wonders if the right support organizations are in place to help asylum seekers.
Yeah, and she's right to wonder.
Yeah,
Jeanette Taylor's been pretty vocal about the housing, the public housing crisis that Chicago has had, because they were supposed to be giving people new public housing for decades now, and she was actually one of the people whose families was on the waiting list, super long waiting list.
That's right, I remember that.
And then since this is our last show of the year, we can talk briefly about how a lot of this this land that was supposed to be used for public housing ends up getting repurposed for Lori's fun projects, like a soccer field for one of her donors.
That's one of our top 10 Chicago news stories we will be covering during tomorrow's New Year's Eve live stream at Kerberos Media.
Yeah.
New Year's Eve day.
She believes there.
Pause it for a second. We have to address this because I was not aware that Warren does a Green Goblin imitation, because I do too. Oh, you do the facial.
Peter. Although I sound like Lois Griffin, who smoked 8 packs of cigarettes a day. Oh, Peter.
Uncle Warren. Can the Spider-Man come out to play? Dueling Defoes.
Yeah, I can't do Defoe.
Hey, you have the crazy, outrageous and I'm more of the Peter Parker, you rat bastard. I don't.
Misery is what you've chosen.
I'm more of an Aquaman kind of guy.
No, it's a good imitation. I mean, it's funny. It's like we in our repertoire of imitations that we drop in here or there. Anyway, let's continue the video. We went off on
I can't do Green Goblin. I just do the Green Leprechaun instead. By the way, that's not funny either.
Look, I got to tell you that your Lori Lightfoot impression sounds like old guys around here at the deli trying to order some soup. Hey, you call this soup? This isn't soup. Where's the meatballs? I don't know.
Where's the matzah? Where's the matzah in the matzo ball soup?
Excuse me, there's at least 30% less kreplach in my chicken soup than in the person's next to me, and I want more now, immediately.
Oh, would be.
I know. I should have picked matzo balls. Screwed again, Lori. Screwed again.
She is the comedy gift that keeps on giving. Lori Lightfoot.
It sounds like me in the morning after a Loverboy concert. It's just, I can't talk. I was screaming so much and working for the weekend. Okay, I got nothing.
I want to recommend also after the show, not now, don't jump away now, but Tim Dillon does this hilarious 3-minute bit on how much he loves Lori Lightfoot because she's truly like a Batman villain in her fedora and her outfits, and how it's all centered on the fact that he discovered Lori Lightfoot. He didn't know that Lori Lightfoot was a Yelper, and Lori Lightfoot decided to give a bad review to a limousine company here in Chicago that apparently did not provide her the service that she thought she deserved, to the point where the limousine service responded and said, "We have cameras in the car. Everything that you reported, Lori, was bullshit. He never got out of the car. He never used your bathroom. He never peed all over your toilet seat," because that's the stuff that you put in the Yelp review to like destroy this driver for whatever happened. But Tim Dillon just eviscerates her brilliantly, and it's a 3-minute video. Good. But oh my god, it's hilarious! So everybody, make sure to tune into that. It's too long to run on our video. Well, maybe we will run it on tomorrow's.
Well, we've run it before. I can't remember
we've run it before.
How long ago it was.
We'll probably get copyright struck depending on how much we. Anyway,
yeah,
check it out later, everybody. It's a great riff on Lori Lightfoot.
And just the origin of that, on how she's basically got this gangster persona, and then she comes up and does these press things or these appearances in places where she's got a mask and the fedora, and she looks like a cartoon villain still.
Yep, totally. All right, let's wrap out this video. Then I want to share one other thing before we go into the next.
She believes there will be protests, and she says she'll be standing with demonstrators if this plan moves forward. She was quoted as saying, "This is a big mess," in the Sun-Times, and if we don't do this the right way, we are doing more harm to the community on both sides.
Yep.
The mayor's office says other sites are being considered for shelters as well. But what happens next really depends on a number of factors, including how many more people are bused to Chicago. We're in the newsroom. I'm Eric Ron, WGN News.
All right, Eric,
look, I think we can all agree we need to defend these we need to provide for these very vulnerable migrants who are being, moved around like pawns on a political chessboard. But we cannot continue to lose sight of the fact that we also need to provide the same support and relief for the other vulnerable population of the city of Chicago, our homeless, as well as not stretch the resources in these completely underfunded communities that have no TIF fund investment whatsoever from Queen Lori or, Mayor Rahm fuckface Emanuel before her.
Jerry, the state of Texas was kind enough to provide us with directions to the governor's mansion here. So we got.
It literally looks like a map targeting a.
This is public information.
Yeah, I know.
We just want to go on a tour. They got tour bus parking, Jerry. We could get a bus. We could. Load it up with support materials. Yes, support. That's what we're calling it. Support materials.
Kit, yes, Kit. And she is the perfect villain. So is Abbott. Look, they're both villains in this story, trying to leverage this for whatever political capital they can extract from it.
That place is just dying for some cat shit and loaded man diapers. I'm just saying. Maybe do a dun 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 dun. Fly to the Valkyries, see if you could drive. Maybe just fly over. I don't know.
The map is literally like targeting the enemy right there.
It is.
Look, this is not our fault that they make this public information. I like the state of Texas. Sometimes I like their barbecue. I think it would be nice to take a little vacation there. Maybe get the tour. Maybe accidentally drop off a few tons of cat turds, allegedly.
Oh, look at me, Butterfingers. Oh, all this cat shit. Why didn't I bring it in the first place? I don't know, but here it is all over the place.
All over Governor Abbott's mansion. All right, so here's the other final piece of this whole story, though, when we're talking about resources that okay. Vacant school buildings litter Chicago neighborhoods after mass school closing. This was reported in 2018. Great that they're trying to repurpose them now for migrants. Why didn't anybody think about repurposing them for homeless people ahead of this?
Yeah.
Just saying.
How many years now? How many years?
The former Emmett School in Austin, of which is pictured here, which closed in 2013, has been sold but still sits vacant. Chicago's strategy of closing and opening public schools to improve education over the last 2 decades has left a visible mark on many neighborhoods, vacant buildings. And I can't read the rest of the article because there's a paywall at WBEZ, but I guess you all get the point I'm making there. It was just like the final comment on all these vacant schools, priorities, and how to do it right, as Jeanette Taylor was saying. Jeanette Taylor? Yeah, Jeanette.
Why are there so many vacant schools in there? Did they consolidate a bunch, or is it a cost cutting measure? I'm assuming, or how did they?
I think at the time it was considered a cost cutting measure, but it was just a move for Rahm Emanuel to try and help out his private charter school buddies.
Yeah, Arnie Duncan. He was trying to help Arnie Duncan, who was proposing the charter schools, which we realized are just a get rich quick scheme on the backs of kids.
Yeah, so they closed down. Was it 50 schools, something like that, and was it 25 mental health facilities?
Yeah.
The city needs mental health facilities. It is more than obvious that the city needs more, not less, mental health facilities. Just watch our show, Jerry.
Kathy Powers mentions in the live chat, Emmett School would be luxury condos now if they were in Krappelman's ward. We have an alderman here, Warren, that has gentrified the entire community there. They basically shut down single resident occupancy rentals so that they could put in these expensive, not affordable condos and high rise and stuff, completely gentrifying the community. So Kathy's comment is like, if Emmett School would be luxury condos if it was in Kappelman's ward, because Kappelman would convert that housing into luxury condos. Speaking of gentrification, and you know how much I love my transitions. Thank you, Kathy, for providing that gracious transitionary opportunity. As investors buy more homes around the Obama Presidential Center, gentrification worries soar. South Shore has experienced the largest share of homes for sale bought by investors than any other neighborhood in the city, raising concerns over housing affordability. Wow, housing affordability issues are now spreading down to the South Side. It used to be like North Side gentrification. Now they're going to like shut everybody out that can barely afford to live on the South Side because Obama's got his shrine to himself going up down near University of Chicago in Hyde Park. All right, so this story was, oh, good. I don't have to attribute Block Club Chicago, given the fact that they didn't attribute something to us a couple weeks ago, because this story was republished from the Illinois Answers Project, a nonpartisan investigations and solutions journalism news organization. For years, housing advocates warned of gentrification encroaching in Southside neighborhoods spurred by the incoming Obama Presidential Center. And those alarms are now ringing louder as recent data shows investors flocking to surrounding neighborhoods at higher rates than ever before. People should be afraid. They should be concerned about firms that don't live in this community buying up homes, said Dixon Romeo, a South Shore organizer with Not Me, We, a group fighting for better housing and sustainability. It's very simple. The goal of every firm is to make profit, right? In terms of housing, that means raising the rent, imposing unnecessary fees, and effectively displacing people. Across the country, corporate investors are buying larger market shares of homes, and that trend has only grown during the global pandemic. That trend is more pronounced in low-income and predominantly Black neighborhoods. They provide a map, a graphic. Share of homes bought by investors in Chicago. The percentage of homes bought by investors remained modest throughout Chicago in the third quarter of 2022, with the exception of zip codes near Jackson Park, where the Obama Presidential Center is being constructed. Boom. There it is. Amazing, right?
Yeah,
shocking? No.
It feels like the precursor to like RoboCop. You know, like
right?
Where basically they turned like Detroit into this giant megaplex owned by a corporation, and then the corporation decided to buy the police as well, and then all fun happens,
and hilarity ensues. It is no different. It is no different in Chicago, where investors are converging heavily in the neighborhoods surrounding the incoming Obama Presidential Center in Jackson Park, as they snatch up nearly a third of homes for sale just in the third quarter of 2022, according to data provided by Redfin, a national real estate brokerage. While some protections have been implemented in the Woodlawn neighborhood to set aside new affordable housing units, the closest neighborhoods to the center, not much, has been done to protect the South Shore neighborhood, where housing is already vulnerable to market whims, Romeo said. In the zip code covering much of South Shore, investors bought up to 32% of homes for sale in the third quarter of 2022. That's tied for the most in the city, according to Redfin data. And you know what's most hilarious about this? Obama wasn't even born here. He was born in Hawaii, wasn't he?
Hey.
It's Hawaii.
Yeah.
But the Democratic machine, which everybody says isn't really there anymore, it's all across Illinois. And as you know, as the Democratic Party's darling, he ran as a Democrat and now admits that, you know, he's more aligned with Ronald Reagan. They got to shove the presidential center down our throats and displace people in this neighborhood, and also feed into the gentrification fears.
Yeah. Plus they took away parkland to do it.
Yeah, public parkland. They couldn't purchase because, you know, the University of Chicago didn't want to sell any of its land, precious land that's just sitting there. They had to take up public parkland to build the shrine to Obama. That's far. And you know what? Full disclosure, I voted for him the first time, and when I realized what a liar and he bamboozled us, I didn't vote for him the second time. Just like Lori, I voted for her the first time. She was running as a progressive reformer. She was going to fix things, and just like Obama. Same playbook. They will say anything they need to say to get your vote and then stand for nothing afterwards and then blame you because you didn't vote hard enough. Or you weren't out there protesting and demonstrating when they're supposed to be doing the shit that they promised when we gave them our votes. That's more than 17% of homes investors bought in 2015 before Jackson Park was announced as the home of the center, and more than double the 14% of homes bought by investors in 2005 in the middle of the housing bubble. Redfin categorizes an investor buyer if the name includes an LLC, incorporation, or trust corporation, and whose ownership code on the purchasing deed includes association, corporate trustee, company, joint venture, or corporate trust. And a home is defined as being any single family, townhome, condominium, or residential building with up to 4 units. Linda Jennings, 73, said she's been getting phone calls almost every day from people across the country trying to buy her South Shore condominium. She tells them no thanks every time. Can you imagine people calling and bugging you to like basically try to like buy you out of your home, not having any concept of like what your living situation may be, that you might not be able to move, that, you know, you might be, you know, this might have been your home for previous generations of families. Now, income opportunity, Obama Center is going to be there. Sell us your home.
Yeah, but aside from that, we should speculate on what other possible motives there might be for them to try and gather up a large swath of land on the south side. Are they planning on reselling it all to Amazon so they can create Amazon Town?
Well, I don't think Obama would want that near his library, his precious library.
I don't think he would care.
You make it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting point.
It's all about optics, really. That's what this whole library thing is all about, right? You just him forcing his legacy on the people of Chicago there. Meanwhile, people, I'm pretty sure a lot of people in that neighborhood do not give a shit about Obama. Like you said, they figured him out after the first term, and damn sure don't want any of their land or their property taken to I don't know, because I mean it's not going to stop there. It's just going to keep growing and growing and growing.
And then where are these families in the south and west sides? Where are they going to go? Further south into Indiana? Are we trying to like force our African American population farther and farther south till they're out of the state of Illinois? And because you're just not making anything affordable. Look, affordable housing is an issue all across the city, not just the southwest side. But as we know that we're a very segregated city, and the racism pervades. The first, literally to be sacrificed, are the south and west side neighborhoods. Whether it comes to this kind of redevelopment, gentrification, or the proliferation of environmental polluters with these recycling plants that we move from north parts of the city down to the south parts, and they're just going to completely destroy the environments there in the residential communities that they're dropping in. We actually have a story that's coming up later on regarding one of these recycling facilities, and apparently the EPA gave them a full approval, even though they acknowledge in the video we're going to share later that they don't know what the long-term effects of SIMS is going to be in that community. They're approving them now because everything's okay now, but that's not without any look into the future of what could come later. But we'll get to that in a moment. So when Jennings said no thanks every time, Jennings said she and her family moved into South Shore in 1958, and they were, there we go, 1958. It's a generational homestead. And they were one of the first Black families to integrate north of 78th Street. She said she went to school in the neighborhood, but went to high school in Hyde Park because South Shore High School wasn't allowing Black students at the time. Quote, all of that and more is why I am not interested in selling the property. This is home, Jennings said. I've been living in this county for the past 18 years, and the impact of the Obama Presidential Center has been on the minds of every homeowner I know and what that is going to mean for our taxes. Jennings said that most of the homeowners she knows are on fixed incomes, and with rising property taxes, thank you, Barack Obama, and much needed repairs for some of the homes, she isn't sure enough is being done to protect them. Quote, I live by myself and I can make ends meet by cutting down on food consumption, but my overall quality of life will change drastically and not for the best, Jennings said. The legacy of Obama. This, Jennings said, is why the city should be working harder to protect renters and homeowners like her from being pushed out. Quote, gentrification is gradual right now, but it is intensifying every year, Jennings said. I'd like the city to give us some sort of community binding agreement that can help stabilize this neighborhood and allow us to stay. And let me also add, for all of the luxury high-rises I see popping up all over the city, especially downtown, I ask myself, who the fuck can afford to live in these? Nobody. And nobody is, Ed. So you're basically seeing developers erecting huge high-rises that people can't afford to live in, And I'm wondering, what's the economic feasibility? What's the game plan with that? Are you taking write-offs every year as a developer? I don't know. I'm like wondering, if you're going to erect all of this expensive housing that no one can afford to live in, especially downtown. And let's also mention, not everybody's like commuting to go downtown anymore or leaving their homes based on how the pandemic showed a lot of jobs can be done from home. You're gentrifying neighborhoods, pushing out affordable housing to put in unaffordable housing that a lot of people can't afford to live in. How is that sustainable for the developers that are gobbling up these neighborhoods? I don't know. I'm posing that question because I'm trying to like wrap my mind around it. And the impact now on the people that do live in these communities, who are going to be facing higher tax bases and the possibility they're going to have to move somewhere else for all this expensive housing that developers and investors are putting in there that people can't afford to live in. It's madness.
I mean, I hate to keep comparing Chicago and New York, but we're seeing the same thing here.
Okay.
Right. I mean, in our situation here in Brooklyn in particular, a few years back, we had there was a law that said that buildings couldn't be over a certain height. Right. In Manhattan, you could go as high as you want, but here in Brooklyn, you couldn't do that. But then once they waived that law or rule or whatever it was, those things started popping up left and right, and it's the same thing. It's expensive apartments and condos,
investments.
They give you see, that's the thing though. They give you the little taste, right? They have a little bit of affordable housing in there, right? So, but that's the thing. You have to basically win a lottery to see if you can get these places too, because there's so many people trying to get housing here, and basically the blue collar working people or anybody that can't afford to live in the city anymore has been pushed out to Long Island, has been pushed to, to parts of Staten Island and Jersey and upstate. And I'm pretty sure that's what's happening in Chicago too. It's just this like you said, this gentrifying is just pushing everybody out, and probably a lot of these poor people can't afford these long commutes into the city too for these jobs too that probably don't pay enough like they do here in New York.
And it's primarily in communities of color. And now Kathy, I think Kathy's onto it. It's a write-off. Yeah, as we ask, how can people afford to live in these houses, these luxury condos that are displacing people who lived in those neighborhoods for generations? People can't live in these expensive condos, whatever, new buildings. It's a write-off. Because when it comes down to it, as this article is talking about, it's investors who are looking to like buy up all the land and buy up all the property there to, I guess, develop however they want. There's no guarantee that they're going to put in more housing. Maybe this is about grabbing the real estate to put other things in as an investment because they know that land's going to be valuable simply by virtue of the fact it's close by to the Obama Center.
They'll just keep purchasing this land and not doing anything with it, just or like they do with the housing, like I said earlier, or they'll just flip. They'll just keep flipping and flipping and flipping, and that's and nobody nobody's gonna be able to afford that kind of housing, and then they're, like we said earlier, they're not going to do anything for the people who are like poor or homeless,
and then all these places where they have this freshly built new structures with apartments nobody can afford will become basically shiny ghost towns. Which that doesn't do anybody any good. Why are civic leaders like mayors and governors and anybody in charge or able to approve or potentially block these types of things? Why aren't they waking up to the fact that it's going to destroy their cities?
Because they'll be gone and it won't matter after they're gone. Look, Lightfoot's trying to figure out how to like fill all the empty buildings down in the LaSalle Street Canyon. For all the businesses who left because of the pandemic, they're thinking about retrofitting and renovating a lot of those beautiful old buildings. And I'm, to one degree, I'm glad they're going to be repurposed instead of being torn down. But, maybe sometime in the future, Ed, when we have all these shiny skyscrapers nobody can afford to live in and more homeless people, then our civic leaders will be forced to start putting the homeless people in those vacant buildings because where else are you going to put them? Yeah. Romeo 28 said it's not surprising that investors are buying more shares of homes in the neighborhood he's called home his whole life. That is why, he said, it is more urgent than ever for the city to pass some sort of community benefit agreement with South Shore like it did in Woodlawn. Not me, we. is part of the Obama Community Benefits Agreement Coalition, which successfully fought for the passage of the Woodlawn Housing Preservation Ordinance, which put aside $4.5 million. $4.5 million. That's nothing. Of city money for affordable housing programs. It is also establishes affordable. I wonder if what does the Obama Center cost as opposed to the $4.5 million they put aside for affordable housing? Let's crunch those two numbers. It also establishes affordability requirements for 30% of new housing units built on 52 Woodlawn vacant lots. Yeah, that 30% of new housing being affordable. Why shouldn't all housing be affordable? Why is it always got to be diminished to like, oh, we're okay if we make it 30%?
Okay, just using Google, cost of the Barack Obama Presidential Center so far, $482 million.
And they're giving 4.5 of city money for affordable housing programs. Priorities, anybody? Romeo said it is. Thank you for grabbing that in.
And apparently that's only half of what they're saying they need to finish it.
He needs more.
Yeah,
maybe isn't he squirreling enough away with his Netflix deal that's funding him and his daughter's filmmaking careers now?
Yeah, according to a Sun-Times article from August 2021, they need about $830 million to build and operate
a shrine. It looks like an Egyptian pharaoh's tomb is what it looks like. An Egyptian pharaoh's tomb is what it looks like. What a modern day Egyptian pharaoh's tomb would look like. Not a pyramid, but this obelisk in Hyde Park.
I mean, you're getting close to like NFL stadium money right there. You know, that $1 billion easy for a stadium right there. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets jacked up to $1 billion. That's what a spit in the face.
It probably will, because I mean, just recently they had a story where they're looking to find local restaurant providers to provide food services for that area. So it's basically going to have its own little eco structure. It's going to be a tiny little town when they're all said and done.
It could be an Obamaville.
Yeah, Obamaville.
Romeo said
it's far from the 70s. Try this 1978 Obamaville.
Like Pottersville. Romeo said it is well past time the city commits to protecting affordable housing in South Shore and across all vulnerable neighborhoods, as he already sees residents struggling with increased housing costs. Quote, I want the kids who live in the Parkways apartment building or in the Jeffrey Towers that go to the Parkside Community Academy, O'Keefe School of Excellence, South Shore International College Prep, or Powell Elementary School to be able to live next to the center and say, I can be that. I can be president, Romeo said. They are not going to be able to do that unless they can afford it or sell out.
Yeah.
Or sell out like he did. The Obama Center
all you gotta do is make friends with Citibank, Jerry.
The Obama Center shouldn't be like Disneyland. It should be a community-centric thing that inspires the youth. But that's not what it's going to be, Mr. Romeo. It's going to be a shrine to the platitudes of Barack Obama. Not Me, we, as well as the CBA Coalition, recently submitted 744 signatures to add a referendum onto the February 28th ballot. If those signatures go unchallenged, the referendum will ask voters if the mayor and alderperson support a community benefit housing agreement. Oh, that got struck down because the alder people did not show up for that, remember? That story was shared in a previous show that the referendum to ask voters if the mayor and alder people will support a community benefit housing agreement, which was supposed to take care of homeless people, I think. Oh, no, this is a different initiative. I'm sorry. Wrong initiative. This includes funding home repairs, property tax relief, eviction protection, a ban on application and move-in fees, among other measures. It would appear in 10 precincts in the 5th Ward. The referendum is non-binding, but at least show the mayor's office how important these measures are to the 5th Ward. Yada, 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 yada. You all get the point. Obama's gift to Chicago is gentrifying the South Side and forcing higher taxes on people that can't afford it, and all kinds of rampant, insane real estate speculation.
Somebody get me a glass of water. I need a glass of water.
This is not a stunt. This is not a stunt. I really do need a glass of water here.
I don't usually do stunts, but I think I'll just do one now.
Okay,
this isn't moonshine, is it? Let's drink this water here. Oh, look at that. That's so delicious.
You know, since we
Political.
mentioned Sims recycling, the EPA, Ed, can you let's run that update first before we move into the next story, because that's just a YouTube video.
Let's see if I can find that one. Oh, here it is.
Thank you very much. So here's the update on Sims recycling, as we were talking about environmental pollution and what is it we refer to? Environmental racism as it affects these communities.
Okay, here we go.
You have the con, Mr. Heller.
New at 5, the EPA is giving the all clear to a scrap metal company in Pilsen. Last year, the Environmental Protection Agency found that Sims Metal Management was emitting high levels of pollutants. They ordered the company to clean up and install new air quality monitors. In a new report out this month, the EPA says the company seems to have addressed the issues and they found no risk of any short-term health issues.
Short-term?
They can't
really?
Short-term. And you know how expensive the long-term problems are going to be to solve in health issues and hospitalizations and the quality of air and kids with asthma in that neighborhood breathing that shit that's in the air. Thank you, EPA.
Yeah.
But they can't rule out any long-term effects. In a statement, Sims Metal Management said, quote, "We are pleased that these initial air monitoring findings uphold our pledge to be a responsible neighbor in Pilsen."
Sure they are.
I mean, maybe they're trying. We won't know because they think that short term is good enough.
Blowjob! Blowjob!
This is such a crock of shit.
I beg your pardon. What did you say?
Play. Did you click the button before I did, Ed?
Maybe.
Let me run the drop-ins when we're doing stuff, because we're canceling each other out all the time.
Oh, I didn't know you were going to do 2 in a row. Jerry.
Well, yeah, but it's interesting. Our minds are on the same wavelength. So what you all missed was
This is such a crock of shit.
No, we saw that.
I see it on my end, so it must be the buffering issue. So look, that's all we got with the Sims recycling. I mean, what more can be said? The EPA is approving it, which makes you wonder if anybody got one of these. They cannot rule out the long-term harm that's going to do. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? What right now they're measuring the air, the quality of the air. Shouldn't you be able to like create models and isn't that what they're supposed to do? They're supposed to like create these models by which they can determine how much more of these pollutants are going to contaminate the air in the community long term. I didn't realize is the EPA just there to clean up the mess afterwards, or to find people lots of money, or aren't they supposed to be there to maybe prevent widespread health issues that these polluters can cause?
Yeah. You know, Jerry, I'm finding a lot of regulators in a number of industries are turning themselves into more of an after the fact, like slap on the wrist type operation
everywhere.
And it's like environment. I'm seeing it in Wall Street.
Yeah, Wall Street is exactly what I was going to say.
I mean, any kind of corporate malfeasance, it's like, oh yeah, just pay a couple million to us, not to the people you wronged.
Yep.
Don't make them whole. Just pay the fine.
That's for the class action lawsuits that the lawyers take the lion's share from, and then you get a $20 check afterwards.
Mm-hmm. It just seems like everything is short-term thinking, right? Because it's cheaper. You spend less money thinking short-term, because you got to think long-term. You got to think about how much you're going to be paying down the road, and you talk about these health issues that are going to be stemming from this plant.
If you did more long-term thinking, Warren, you'd be saving money in the long run. If you dealt with these issues now. But again, I think it comes down to so many people who are managing and running things now. It's not going to be their problem. They'll be gone. They've made their money. It's going to be someone else's problem to deal with later. They got theirs. Fuck everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's all about I got to get mine now because I may not get it later. I may not even be here later to get it. So, and who's going to get screwed again? It's going to be the people in that neighborhood. And with the cost of healthcare and stuff these days, they're not going to, this thing's going to linger in the courts forever. And none of these people are going to be made whole in any sort of way, financially, health-wise, any of that.
Well said. All right, moving to our next story. This is a cash bail update. End of cash bail will move forward in Chicago despite downstate judges' ruling, officials say. There was some concern about that. All state counties, including Cook County, will abolish cash bail January 1st. Now, remember, the intentions are not to let violent criminals out onto the street because they don't have to post cash bail. It's up to the judges to determine if someone who is charged is a threat of being violent or not.
Yeah,
the judges can review all the facts in a case, and if they see, this asshole's has a history of violence and this crime was violent, we're setting cash bail on it. So it's up to the judges to determine, but it's going to be, I guess, the judges to determine so that, if you get busted for smoking weed out on the street somewhere that you're not supposed to, you don't have to figure out where you get $5,000-$10,000 to get out of jail for a completely innocuous nonviolent offense. Mm-hmm. So this goes on to say all state counties, including Cook County, will abolish cash bail January 1st as the case makes its way up the court system, a spokesperson for the Illinois Attorney General's office said. The Illinois Safety Act will go into effect January 1st. In a Wednesday ruling, Kankakee County Chief Judge Thomas W. Cunnington sided with various sheriffs and prosecutors who claimed the pretrial release provision of the law was unconstitutional. Governor J.B. Pritzker cited it a law in 2021. Cunnington's decision spans more than 60 lawsuits across the state that argued the state legislature interfered with the judiciary process and violated separation of powers when it passed a measure to eliminate cash bail. But the judge only targeted the portion of the law that would end cash bail.
That's a kind of a flawed argument, though. Because, on one hand, it's like they're saying that, the judiciary shouldn't be able to tell, or the legislative shouldn't be able to tell the judiciary what to do, except the legislative makes the laws so that the judiciary figures out how to interpret them.
Not just the judiciary, though, Ed, but various sheriffs and prosecutors. Yeah, that's who this judge is siding with, those who want to just throw people in and lock away the key so that the private prison industry can get rich.
Yeah, and so I don't know if I have this 100% right, but my interpretation was that they were complaining that basically this legislation is taking away one of the judicial's tools by not allowing them to deny a bail or something.
But if you can make a case to who a violent offender is, then you can enforce the case.
Yeah, you still have to have. The judge still has to make a decision on whether this person may be a danger to others if they're allowed to remain free before trial.
Right.
That's still a preliminary decision, regardless of whether this law is enacted. So it's not like a whole lot of new things are changing here. It's just that they're making it so that people can't be penalized for not having money to make bail. Basically, they're eliminating the possibility that poor people won't be able to get out of jail pre-trial in case they're not violent, but for some reason they don't have enough money to pay to stay out.
Right. All state counties, including Cook County, will abolish cash bail January 1st as the case makes its way up the court system, said State Attorney General spokesperson April McLaren. The recent ruling will immediately apply to individual cases involved in the lawsuit, McLaren said. The state will appeal the decision to the state Supreme Court, Attorney General Kwame Raoul said in a Wednesday news release. Despite widespread misinformation on social media, Safety Act does not mean jails would empty out or judges would lose their authority to detain someone who poses a danger. It removes cash bail as a standard in pretrial procedures. Advocates for the SAFE-T Act say eliminating cash bail would be more equitable for people, particularly those who are low income or are from disproportionately policed communities who have not been convicted of crimes but remain in prison because they can't afford bail. Others have said the act will make it harder for those charged with violent crimes who would normally have the means to quickly post hefty bails to get back on the street. In Cunnington's 36-page opinion, God, is this guy full of hot air? He wrote that only judges have independent inherent authority to deny or revoke bail to, quote, preserve the orderly process of criminal procedure. Go ahead.
But if you take that tool out of their toolbox, they don't have to make that decision anymore.
It's a power play.
It's just some people in law enforcement and some whiny judges don't want to have to spend a lot of extra effort trying to figure out who has to stay in jail and who can be released without.
Because they got to go get to the members only club and have tea with the other judges and lawyers or go to get to the golf course.
Yeah. So sorry, we'll have to make you actually think about what you do in your job, judges.
Pritzker said in a Wednesday statement that Illinois must, quote, replace an antiquated criminal justice system. Quote, we cannot and should not defend a system that fails to keep people safe by allowing those who are a threat to their community the ability to simply buy their way out of jail, Pritzker said. I look forward to the Illinois Supreme Court taking up the appeal as soon as possible. Benjamin Riddell, Director of Criminal Justice Reform at the American Civil Liberties Union, said in a Wednesday statement that the ruling doesn't have the power to uphold cash bail across the state. Riddell said other objections to the SAFE-T Act were swept aside, a win for its supporters. Parts of the SAFE-T Act have already been in effect for years, said gubernatorial spokesperson Alan Go. We're confident that money bond ultimately will be eliminated across the entire state, Riddell said. So that's that's been a huge, huge issue in the news for the past several months since it passed. Now, here's our fun. She's back. She's back. You want to bring the video up, Ed?
Oh, that one.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
I haven't actually watched this.
Oh, it's hilarious, especially in regards to what she claims we need to do. And then Arwadi coming up in complete contradiction to what she just said. So you guys are going to love this one.
All right.
Let me tease it. Lori Lightfoot encourages Chicago citizens to wear masks indoors. Ed has the video.
I think I remember that too. Let me just ask you about the mask advisory that you're talking
About what, I'm
the
sorry?
mask advisory.
Yeah.
Pause it for a second, Ed. Watch her eyes. They're like fucking daggers. She every time I see her field questions, it's like she just couldn't be more annoyed that anybody is asking her a question, let alone that she has the responsibility of answering it. So watch her eyes. It's like she's just like so much contempt in her eyes.
I'm definitely seeing that, but what I'm also seeing is that she looks exhausted.
Well, she did just come off COVID herself.
So. I mean, she may. I mean, look, any kind of respiratory illness is no joke.
No, it's
your
not.
body. You gotta take care of yourself. She shouldn't be out and about making all these appearances everywhere. She should be home recovering with literally chicken noodle soup and all the vitamins and things that normal people do during cold and flu season, which it is right now.
Right.
So
well, she's got an election to win.
Regardless of what you test positive for, if you are ill and not feeling well, and even if you're on the road to recovery, and whether you are contagious or not, but preferably not, you should take care of yourselves. You know, if you're not feeling well, take care of yourself. Don't go running around doing press opportunities, making it look like, oh, I'm doing all these wonderful things for the public while you're doing all these wonderful things for your pocket.
And your cronies.
So.
Okay, run this. But again,
try to
keep track of the contempt in her eyes. It just builds.
Yeah, let me rewind this.
Can they still?
Hold on. Why won't it let me? Hold on. Stand by. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's start from the beginning, shall we?
I think I remember that too. Let me just ask you about the mask advisory that you're talking
About what, I'm
the
sorry?
mask advisory.
Yeah.
How are businesses, what are you encouraging businesses to do as they try to navigate this? Can they still do mask mandates? And how do they work through all this?
Well, look, I think what we are expecting when we go to high is to say to all Chicagoans, when you're in a public space, whether you're, at work, whether you're going into a restaurant, a gym, or whether you're going to entertainment like Dr. Arwu was at last night with the Nutcracker, wear a mask. We think that that's a smart way to go. Now, we'll leave it to individual businesses as to whether or not they want to mandate that for everyone. But we do think it's smart, given what we're seeing is the rise in cases of COVID, but also flu and RSV. It's really important that people take the necessary steps to protect themselves. Look, no one wants to wear a mask. I don't want to wear a mask. You don't want to wear a mask. But I'm wearing my mask, one, to follow the CDC guidelines. I wore that for through day 10.
Okay, I don't even think those are the current CDC guidelines, but let's continue.
And in my recovery from COVID. But beyond that, I really do think it's important as we move inside for people to be conscious of the fact that the inside conditions are a breeding ground for viruses, and COVID-19 is no different. I don't know if Dr. Art, if you want to add to that.
Do you know who else doesn't want to wear a mask? Oh shit! We got the goddamn commercial. It blew the punchline.
That's okay.
Okay,
we're pausing here anyway. So
here's someone else who doesn't want to wear a mask.
Was that Kenny Rogers? What was that? That was the mouth.
No one wants to wear a mask.
Not funny, Vasilatos. It's not funny. Okay, it's a little funny.
What are the current CDC guidelines? Is that didn't they say like with the masks?
I guess it depends on which drug company's paying them right now. That's my opinion. It's humor.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, play the video.
This is comedy. All right.
Here comes the punchline.
Just briefly, we will have signage.
Hold on.
Nobody wants to wear a mask, least of all my medical advisor, Dr. Arwadi, because we are indoors right now. But if she doesn't want to wear a mask, she doesn't have to.
That's one of those clear masks, so you just can't see it.
I think she even took it off as she steps up to the podium. It looks like she's pulling something off.
Look, I mean,
play it, Ed. Go on.
Want to add to that?
Just briefly.
Boom.
We got shit. I should have added that music to it if I had time to download the video. Yeah, maskless top doc. Kathy's got the hashtag for it.
Wait. Did you want the Curb Your Enthusiasm music?
Yeah.
Oh, do you have that?
At your service.
What is Dr. Arwadi? Let's give her 20 seconds to hear her platitudes as she's not wearing the mask that her boss told her that they recommend everybody wear indoors.
Add to that.
Just briefly, we will have signage available. We'll be working with Business Affairs and Consumer Protection to make sure that businesses have signs that they can put up, encouraging masks. Certainly, if there are settings that choose to require their staff to wear masks or others to wear masks, that is within their, that is certainly something we encourage.
Get her off. Enough. That's all. I just wanted to spotlight the hypocrisy of this administration.
Look, if you feel comfortable wearing a mask, wear a mask.
That's fine.
If a lot of people are just carrying around those cloth masks, and they're fine for droplet spread. But look, guys. I mean, if you're really looking for to protect yourself or to protect others with that kind of thing, if you're contagious, stay home. If you're trying to protect yourself, you may need to go a little better than an N95. I'm just saying that right now. You see you see these movies where the people from the CDC, like where they pretend they actually care, and they're walking around in these head to toe outfits that are completely sealed.
Yeah.
So, there's only so much you can do to protect your own immune system and from being contagious or whatever to others. Do the best things that you think you can do for yourself and others. But be courteous when you can be courteous, but don't be a jerk about it. I mean, at this point, it's out there. I mean, to keep telling everybody that this thing is spreading just because it's the only thing that major media is testing in the waters right now, it's ludicrous. You have, if they were testing like all the cold and flu viruses and mononucleosis and pneumonia and all those other things that are floating around right now and reporting those on the news, they'd be freaking out about those as much as they'd be freaking out about the Rona right now. That's my opinion on that.
Now, Pat Brannigan brings up a good point in the chat here also. I've heard this discussed before. Well, I know the only mask that works is an N95. Now, Pat goes on to say most of us will get brain damage or die if we wear them for a long period of time. I'm not going to disbelieve that, but my only counter to that is doctors and nurses in hospitals are wearing, in the surgical theater, are wearing their masks all day long. So when I've heard people say that, you're breathing back something that's bad for you, I'm like, but decades of doctors working in hospitals and nurses in the operating theater, they keep their masks on all day long. I don't know how to reconcile that.
The final thing that I would recommend is just take care of yourselves. Boost your immune systems like you always should be doing, and I wouldn't rely so much on a highly advertised jab in the arm, since it seems to be the only thing they're recommending, which is insane to me that they're not recommending all the other normal common sense things that people can do, including taking vitamins and minerals, taking care of yourself, drinking plenty of water, staying hydrated, electrolytes, chicken noodle soup, for crying out loud.
They can't make as much money, Ed, over the old therapies since honestly, and monetize the new ones.
It's insane to me that Campbell's isn't pushing ads. It's insane to me that Campbell's is not pushing ads 24/7 right now. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you for clarifying.
For years,
I almost felt wrong asking that, but you were kidding around. Okay.
Well, yeah, for years they've been. You hear that every flu season, right? Even before the pandemic, you heard take care of yourself. Multivitamins, vitamin D, vitamin C, drink plenty of fluids, take care of yourself, right? And then, when this came around, it was just nope, got to get that, boop, boop. And that's the end all be all. And it's no, you got to have preventative care too. Why weren't they mentioning that? That's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we're done with the Arwady
video here. She's just a mess, just like life. Okay. All right. So, we're always talking at the end of every show. I try to find a positive story to basically cleanse our palate of all the bullshit we have to swallow for the first part of the show with the corruption and the graft and these civic leaders who are not solving any problems, although fingers crossed those running for the next election, whoever wins, will replace Lightfoot and provide some better solutions. But thankfully, Block Club kind of did our job for us at the end of this show by helping us find 11 stories that uplifted Chicago in 2022. So we can end Chicago Corners 2022 last show of the year with 11 stories that uplifted Chicago. Now,
good. You mean good? There was good news.
There was good news, and you know where all the good news came from, Ed? The neighborhoods, the community, the people who live in our neighborhoods, the Chicagoans who are helping each other, who are watching out for each other, who are being vigilant for each other, as I close each show, begging people to do, and apparently they are.
Did you say vigilant for each other, Jerry?
Well, here I am.
It's exactly what I said.
I know that guy. He lives across the street from me. I'm in Gotham. Sorry.
No, you do. Yeah, you live in the actual Gotham. Although I think the corruption of Gotham, I don't know. I guess we can have a debate about this. Is New York more corrupt than Chicago? Because I feel like Chicago is the most corrupt city in the country. As corrupt as Gotham City is reflected.
Kind of feels like a tug of war.
Well, you have more concentrated corruption there. Ours is a little more spread out because it's bigger areas and a lot more people to deal with too. Gotcha. So, but I would say per capita, yeah, Chicago, that's always beaten New York.
You know, they say we're the best, one of the best cities in the country. It's like, yeah, we've also got the worst crime and the highest amount of corruption. Anyway, let's shift our focus from all the bad in Chicago that we want to try to find solutions for, to those who have actually found solutions and are helping each other. So, from dancing crossing guards to a surprise quinceanera, thank you.
Quinceanera,
we found so much joy in Chicago's neighborhoods this year. Let's end 2022 on a high note, shall we? Here are 11 stories that made us smile this year, and this isn't even a fraction of the good stuff Block Club covered. If you want some more good Chicago news in your life, check out our It's All Good podcast with 67 episodes dedicated to positive stories. Do you have a positive neighborhood story you think Block Club Chicago should cover? Email them. Hey, bring it here to Chicago Corner. We'll report on it. We want to share those stories. You think we enjoy talking about all the corruption and all the shitty shit that's happening across the city every Tuesday and Friday? Thankfully, we do have a few people come on the show to share their good news and give them the exposure that they deserve and have earned for the good that they're doing. So, all right, number one. TikTok historian Sherman Dia-Thomas lands new tour bus for his Chicago lessons after months of fundraising. Before he became a household name, reporter Atavia Reed knew Sherman Dia-Thomas was a Chicagoan to watch after she wrote several stories about his work to highlight the South Side's often ignored history. Chicagoans came together so Thomas could put down a down payment on his own tour bus. Number two, Rays of Sunshine. Southside Crossing Guard has brought joy to kids with toy giveaway for nearly 20 years. Woodlawn, and she's pictured here. Woodlawn Crossing Guard Angela Thompson has held a Christmas toy drive for kids along her route for more than 15 years. The toy drive started. Go ahead.
This is the third time we've had Woodlawn in a story tonight, Jerry.
It's a lot of stuff that needs attention down there. And look at this good lady who's actually like addressing it. Held a Christmas toy drive for kids along her route for more than 15 years. The toy drive started when Thompson overheard a young mother's conversation about how she couldn't afford to do anything for her kids for Christmas. She said, ever since, kids on her route never went without gifts. Kudos to her.
It's beautiful.
We reported on this one. This is a great story. At Rogers Park Tent City, housed and unhoused gather for a new tradition, weekly chili night. For over a year, Rogers Park neighbors have joined together to offer a weekly meal of chili to the this just makes me upset when I read this. Dozens living in tents inside Toohey Park, 7348 North Paulina Street. The operation has grown over time with not that they're sharing chili, that there are people living in tents. The operation has grown over time with the neighbors also offering fresh produce, personal hygiene products, clothes, and harm reduction supplies. I've experienced a lot of kindness, one attendee said. Moving on. Whole Foods, number 4. Decision to close Englewood store inspires resident to build thriving community garden. When Whole Foods announced its Englewood store would close, Kenneth Griffin decided to do something about it.
Different Ken Griffin.
Different Ken Griffin, yes. Thank you. I was thinking, wait, Kenneth Griffin. The police officer, chef, and founder of nonprofit No Matter What took over a vacant lot at 6505 South Bishop Street. Then, with no experience in gardening, he gathered area teens and police officers and built a thriving community garden. The Denzel Thornton Memorial Garden, named after Griffin's friend who was fatally shot in 2016, is no replacement for the Whole Foods, but Griffin thought it was a good way to teach youth to advocate for their futures.
Yeah.
Coming in at number 5. Every Morgan Park high school student can go to college for free thanks to a surprise scholarship.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is very cool. Give me a second, guys. I got to do one thing before I read this story. No, I'll start reading the story. I can multitask. Early this year, more than 1,000 Morgan Park high school students were surprised with full rides to college. Hope Chicago, a nonprofit that funds college scholarships for Chicago public school students, surprised students at the far South Side High School during February assembly, and the joy was contagious. I'm in shock. I'm very grateful. This just actually really feels like a miracle, one student said. Number 6, how a Ukrainian village school is making families escaping Russian invasion feel at home in Chicago. Since Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year, reporter Quinn Myers has told many stories about the city's resilient and generous Ukrainian community, which, whoa, sorry guys, didn't mean to do that. Hang on a second. That's what my multitasking gets me.
Ooh, was that Laney's phone number? I'm calling you, sweetie. No, I'm cool. I'm not cool.
Yeah, that was Laney's text. Actually, I was sending her. Can you pull that up? Thank you. In responding to a text message, I ended up like screwing up my screens here. All right, thanks, Ed. Yeah, I'll let you run it from there. Let me repeat. Since Russia invaded Ukraine earlier this year, reporter Quinn Myers has told many stories about the city's resilient and generous Ukrainian community, which has stepped up to help those here and abroad impacted by the war. He covered rallies, donations, drives, free virtual dance classes for kids in Kiev, and how St. Nicholas grew from a neighborhood Catholic elementary school to a community and social service hub. Nearly 80 Ukrainian students fleeing the war enrolled there this year, and the school has offered them free language classes, school supplies, health screenings, sports camps, and more. Number 7, Northwest Side teen gets surprise. There she is. We'll save that. We're going to have an extra surprise guest in a moment. Northwest Side teen gets surprise. Quinceanera. Northwest Side teen gets surprise. Quinceanera. Thanks to Taft High School fulfilling mother's dream. Juanita Aiko, a mother from Belize who was sent to Chicago with other migrants from Texas, didn't have enough money to throw a birthday party for her daughter after the long journey to America. So the team at Taft High School stepped up and organized a surprise quinceañera for her daughter, JoJo, who has epilepsy and is nonverbal. The celebration, complete with music, pink balloons, food, flowers, and guest gift bags, was a dream she always wanted to come true. Seeing her walking with this dress is amazing, Aiko said. I was not expecting this, but I am very grateful for everything. Number 8, this self-taught gardener is beautifying back of the yards and helping residents reclaim their streets one corner at a time. Edgar Florentino loved visiting downtown when he was a kid, taking in the colors and textures of the landscaped flora. Then he'd return to back of the yards and be disappointed by the lack of vibrancy on the streets, he said. So Florentino started landscaping, quote, hot corners, streets where there was a lot of gun violence, and is on a mission to beautify and reclaim parkways for neighbors. It's just something beautiful watching something grow. Number 9, meet the dancing Washington Park crossing guard who has been making drivers smile for years. For 6 years, crossing guard Tammy Anderson has kept students safe at Beasley Academic Center using a stop sign and a smile. Anderson is a nonstop dance machine, waving at passerby, directing traffic with her brightly colored nails, and keeping her rhythm as she keeps order on State Street. Anderson's story delighted our readers, so when she fell on hard times and needed $5,000 to avoid eviction, Chicago went above and beyond to help the single mom get back on her feet, raising more than $19,000. Number 10. Oh,
hang on a second, Jerry. I think we might have video.
Do you?
Of that dancing crossing guard.
Okay.
If you can hang on 1 second here. Let's see.
I'll let you cue it up. I've got my screen's back good. So you cue it on your end.
Right. Okay.
She's a neighborhood.
Hey, can I take a pause real quickly, guys? Pause it for a second. Pause it for a second. There seems to be a civil war in the live chat. Kathy and Pat, we love you both. There's no reason to fight. If there's a disagreement, Pat, please don't leave. And Kathy, I don't think that Pat is trying to spread misinformation. It's a very simple misunderstanding. Let's keep our community together. Let's not fight. That's what they want. So Kathy and Pat, please don't force one or the other to leave. I want you both here. As human love, solidarity shares right here. Yes, thank you. We love you both. So let's, Kathy, it may have been misinformation. I know it wasn't intentional. Pat, don't leave. I hope she's still around. Stick around. We don't have the worst crime. Google it. We have some pretty bad crime here, Kathy, and I think people understand in the spirit of which I'm saying it. We might not have the worst crime, but we're probably pretty close to having the worst crime. So whether I have the stats in front of me or not, I don't think I'm misspeaking about that. I do think that, we have an epidemic of gun violence, and we have an epidemic of, I can't keep track of the shootings every day or every week to be able to know which was which. So apologies if I misspoke, and we don't have the worst crime, but I do think we've got amongst the worst crime, if we want to parse it that way. So, okay. Going back to human love solidarity, here we go. That's what we need to focus on, everybody. All right, so Ed, please share the video of the dancing crossing guard.
Tammy Anderson is not just a crossing guard for Beasley Academy in the Washington Park neighborhood.
Come on here, y'all.
She's a neighborhood staple.
Tammy, that's our girl. She is very joyful.
Tammy is amazing. Every morning and afternoon, you'll find her here at the corner of 53rd and State Street, bringing smiles to everyone who passes by.
She will have this whole street lit up. It'll be, you should see it on a busy day.
The mother of three has been a crossing guard for Chicago Public Schools since 2016.
Just standing there, I got bored, waiting on the children. Then someone waved at me. I waved back, and then it got contagious. Then I just thought, hey!
Her contagious energy comes naturally.
She has a genuine interest in her community.
I love this story.
So when she comes out to serve this intersection,
Oh, she's getting down.
Rain or shine,
She is.
Tammy moves and grooves to gospel music.
I think all crossing
never
guards
missing a
need to
beat.
train under her.
Stand there without a workout, because some of the music are gospel workout music. And once you hear that beat, how can you just sit there? Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
A passion for her job that's spreading endless joy.
When someone come back and tell me that I brought them joy or sunshine, when someone come back and tell me I was having a bad day until I crossed that threshold, I bless these streets before I get out here so that they can be covered and have a happy day when they come past.
Tammy is one of about 600 crossing guards that work for Chicago Public Schools. There is high turnover, I'm told, because it can be a tough job.
Yeah.
But Tammy says,
Especially when you're not making, pause it for a second, Ed. Especially when you're not making enough money to pay your rent, and you've got to have money raised to prevent your eviction, right?
Yeah.
What a lovely woman, though. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut that whole thing short, but it's
That
like,
was pretty
I'm
much,
sure-
that was the end.
Okay. That was an awesome story, though. Yeah. All right, so going into, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought someone was sharing something. All right, going into story number 10, and we're kind of coming to the tail end here. Rare Lakeview ghost signs saved just days before demolition thanks to donations. Did Pegleg have anything to do with saving these ghost signs, Ed? Do you know?
It's a possibility. I know he's a big fan of all things ghost, although sometimes he gets jealous.
Yeah. Okay, so when they reported that rare ghost signs found on a Lakeview building were set to be demolished, these are like historical. Of course, they would be demolished. You all Chicagoans jumped into action. Chicago-based sign painters rallied and set up a fundraiser so they could rescue decades-old painted ads that were found in the building. And after raising more than $12,000, they did just that. Now, I'm not sure where they've relocated them, but I'm sure we can do a follow-up and find out. Our last story, number 11. Or we might have a number 12 based on something that was shared with me in a.
Oh, hey, Jerry.
Uh-oh,
Jerry.
here he is.
Jerry, did you know that here on the ethereal plane that in ghost signs, we just call them signs?
That makes sense. Why repeat yourself there?
Yeah, I just crossed over to make that really stupid joke.
Happy New Year, Pegleg.
Yeah, happy New Year to all of you out there in Chicagoland and also on the East Coast where Uncle Warren resides.
You don't have. What are your New Year's plans, Pegleg? You're not planning on setting any.
Oh,
places,
you know, Bessie and I, we don't do a whole lot on New Year's Eve, but occasionally we do go to some of those chocolate milk raves that are super popular. Well, on the ethereal plane, they're popular. I don't know if you have chocolate milk raves on the regular living people side. But they're fun. I mean, especially when they start throwing a little bit of rum into the chocolate milk.
I think at the New Year's party I'm going to tomorrow night, I will stop at a grocery store and get a carton of chocolate milk and have a toast in honor of Peg Leg and Bessie with a strong shot of something in it.
Yeah, that's always a good idea. Yeah, I don't know, Uncle Warren. I think this might be the first time that you and I are on the screen together at the same time. I'm a huge fan of that. What's it called? Supplemental Bola?
Yeah, that's right. You still harboring that fugitive there, Peg Leg, huh?
Are you talking about my cow again?
Let me tell you something. You ever heard the phrase setting the town on fire? It doesn't mean having fun. It means your cow set the town on fire.
I think it's quite well documented, Uncle Warren, that Santa Claus is the one that started the Great Chicago Fire. I even did a poem about it.
I have to break in here. We have a $10 super chat from Human Love Solidarity. Has a question for the guest host. What's the best piece of? But before we go to that, Warren, I do also want to mention. I forgot at the top of the show because I haven't created a graphic for it yet. I want to thank Kathy Powers and Dominic Palella, who are both our two only, but very, 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 very appreciated Patreon supporters. You can support Chicago Corner for $5 a month on Patreon, as Kathy and Dominic do, which is $10 a month for us towards our operating expenses and things that we do here. And Kathy and Dominic are our main Patreon supporters. So I wanted to thank them both. I forgot to mention at the beginning of the show, as I promised, for our Patreon supporters, but I'm going to be creating a graphic, Kathy, that honors both you and Dominic and anybody else who decides to contribute $5 a month to our little channel here. But Human Love Solidarity, thank you so much for your contribution. Everybody, you can join us, contribute on Patreon. You can do super chats here on YouTube. You can contribute on our Rockfin channel, which actually gives us a little bit more money than YouTube does. And, for all the bitching we do about YouTube, why give YouTube any monetization? Just contribute to us on Rockfin and Patreon. So, thank you, Patreon supporters. Thanks, Ed, for prepping that. Mr. Dearman.
Yes.
Best pizza. Question for our guest host.
Come
Open
on,
can of pasta here.
I think
I'm a
there's a place
stranger
in
in a strange land.
Isn't there a place in New York called?
Wait, let Warren talk. Let Warren talk.
Sorry.
There, so you've got me, as the scholars say, by the short and curlies. All right, because I'm a guest in your humble home, so I can't say the truth, otherwise it will offend you Chicago fine folks. Now, and I don't, fancy myself to be a liar either. So, all things being equal, I'm going to say Hawaiian pizza.
Oh, I actually like Hawaiian pizza. I think it's quite a delicacy. As much as I love my sausage, mushroom, and black olive thin crust, or my stuffed spinach, I do like thin crust Hawaiian pizza.
I've tried it. The first time I tried it, I was not down with. I wasn't familiar with the concept of sweet and savory, right? But when I had ham with pineapple on there, at first I said, "Is this a joke?" And then I ate it. I said, "This is delicious. This is really good."
What, Warren? Did you ever see Midnight Run?
Oh yeah,
with Charles Grodin talking about chorizo and eggs. It's really quite delicious. I just want to it's really, ever had chorizo and eggs, Jack? It's really, really quite delicious. All right.
Pineapple on pizza.
So now we're going to,
guys, I think pineapple on pizza is quite delight. What were we talking about?
I got one of those too. It's the battle of the technical difficulties.
Well, listen, thanks Human Love Solidarity for the super chat. I do want to get to our 11th story on that list because I do not want to miss anybody who has done good things here in Chicago. Number 11, Lincoln Park woman created ripple effect of joy by placing bouquets across Chicago for strangers to take. Jessica Housley, and there she is pictured there, lovely looking young lady, has been spreading joy by making bouquets and leaving them in random places for people to take. Housley started the project with Love Chicago in 2017 to spread love and kindness during a divisive time. She put flowers from her mom's garden in a vase and left them along Bissell Street in Lincoln Park with a note reading, "For you. If you find this, it's meant for you. With love, Chicago." Since then, Housley and her team of helpers have made hundreds of flower arrangements and left them throughout the city of Chicago for people to take. There you have it. Now, we do have a guest who shared something with me in my text messaging. Oh, is this okay, well, let's bring her in. And I don't know if she can share the link, but ladies and gentlemen, where are you? I don't see you on camera.
Is her camera working?
I don't know. I'm seeing a wall here. Maybe she does. I don't know if she's listening and she's going to jump on camera when... Lady, are you there?
I'm here. Just my hair is a mess. I'm not.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I didn't realize.
No, I was not counting. I was running errands today. It was not ready to be seen. But
Okay,
and
no
actually,
problem.
it's probably best because there is. I have a late breaking news. There is a naked pervert interrupting Cook County's online court sessions.
I'm trying to click on this link in the. Can you send the link in the private chat, because for some reason my
let me pull
on my
that up.
desktop is not opening it up.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
I only do my naked perversions in New York, so it wasn't me.
We know it was
There it is, Jerry.
Okay, let me pop this up here. That's what
So to
she
speak.
said. All right, let me bring the
my peoples.
works everywhere. All right, here we go. All
I
right.
love olives on my pizza.
She was not kidding.
Okay, so what's happening is, and this has
Go.
been going on since like a lot of the lockdowns and stuff, but apparently there's this guy who has been interrupting court proceedings with extremely graphic sexual behavior. So so they're basically saying that Timothy Evans, the chief judge, is saying that he said, many of you have been Zoom bombed with a video of a person who exposes himself and engages in sexually explicit conduct.
Wow.
And then then went on to say that bad actors are using Zoom access information to get in and then to broadcast these egregious acts to the detriment of proper decorum and the court's ability to conduct its proceedings. One such egregious act involved a large pickle or a small cucumber. So
Wait, is that what this guy is interrupting with his own, or he's showing a literal large pickle or small cucumber? Are they referencing this guy?
No, he's using a large pickle or a small cucumber. Let me continue.
Okay.
According to the sheriff's office report, an unknown black male entered the courtroom via Zoom and began masturbating. The subject was laying on his back with both legs in the air, described to me as being in a position not unlike a baby would be during a diaper change. The subject was masturbating with his bare penis exposed. And then an unknown item inserted into, as they say, and then went on, and there were two other courtrooms were also disrupted. In this case, it was a domestic violence court session was targeted. That the man, according to the report, pleasured himself and also displayed a green object suspected to be a large pickle or a small cucumber.
Doesn't this guy know he'd be doing much better doing this over on OnlyFans? He could monetize this instead of terrorizing people in online court sessions. I mean, that's pretty much standard procedure over there, isn't it? That kind of behavior.
Wait a minute.
I'd buy that for $1.
On a more serious note, something that has been happening is that some of these Zoom bombers are coming in to scam people. What they're doing is they're going in, they're approaching defendants and their family members and trying to get them to give money for legal fees and that sort of thing. That's bad. But yeah, so this guy's got a large pickle or a small cucumber for his.
I can't. I can't anymore. I wasn't expecting this. Damn you all. Damn you all to hell.
A large pickle or a small?
I beg your pardon. What did you say?
Cucumber?
Oh, crap.
And she's got the sister's got the crop.
Yeah.
I was about to say, is there video? Oh God, I hope there's not video.
No, there's video. No, we can't. No,
Well, there better not be.
There
I don't want to see that.
There can't be.
Doorknob, Jesus Christ.
No, that's not. No. The stuff floating there, that's not. No. That's something else.
I think there needs to be a deeper investigation into the.
That's what she said.
You're so stupid, Bobby. Why you say that? You're stupid. Oh man. Shit. Okay. Woo. Okay. Deep breath.
I have heard that story though about the scammers coming into court, offering like quicker ways to get out of trouble by sending them money. And
That's what she said.
She says a lot.
She does say a lot.
Yeah.
I actually have a friend who's a public defender in the courts, and she told me that story. And it's like a lot of people are losing money, and they can't shut down the system because the courts have got to be open, I guess, for public viewing.
They have to be, yeah. And so they're trying to. I know that the courts are trying to warn people about this, but there it is. So, any case,
there it is. That's
be aware of random cucumbers. That
I always am.
Lady, I'm always looking out for cucumbers. Come on,
Lady, can you share with our audience as we wrap up the end of the year here? What are you doing outside Hardlands Media and your 2 infrequent appearances on Chicago Corner? Let our audience know what you're doing out there.
Well, let people know that I'm doing this radio show called Chicago Wine Report. It's a kind of an offshoot of a podcast that I've been doing for close to 2 years now. We've moved over to a local radio station, WCGO, and we're doing our shows on Sunday morning. And we're bringing in people from all over the Chicago wine community. In fact, we're booked with guests through the middle of February. Wine industry people in that industry who want to be on our show, because Chicago is a fantastic restaurant town, and wine and food go together. So it's really kind of exciting having this positive, nonpartisan show that emphasizes the community, people in our community, and brings them together over wine. So it's been rather cool. And we're hoping to do I sure did. But I'm hoping to get Edward on. We'll do a special show. We'll do pizza and a wine show, which I think would be a lot of fun.
Terrestrial radio, guys, it's the big time. It's where people can actually find people instead of searching for us on YouTube.
Well, I got to tell you, here's the thing: the FCC gives us certain rights, for being on there. And the other thing that I want to mention is that we can do what we want. We're on there, and once we got on the radio, all of a sudden we started getting the attention. We started getting the comps. We started hearing from people who, wanted to bring us in, treat us to dinner, show us their wine program. They wanted to come on the show. It's that, it's that being that part of the terrestrial radio. And we still have our podcast. We still have our Substack newsletter. We still have the social media. It's going great guns for us. But, it's that being part of the community, being a part of accessible radio, that anybody with a radio can just turn on and listen to us. Doesn't have to have an internet device. It's wonderful.
We have to explore how Chicago Corner might be able to harness the power of terrestrial radio to get more people to discover us on YouTube. So that's a conversation we got to have.
We need to be doing that. We need to be doing a lot of it, Jerry.
I know.
We'd love to, when you've been a guest on the show.
I was.
We had a great time.
Wonderful.
And
it was on a Sunday morning, and I got to drink wine on a Sunday morning.
It was very exciting.
Drink wine on a Sunday morning.
Lainey, I would love to be on your show too, but I would just want to tell people the joys and pleasures of enjoying a nice cold glass of champagne. I think it's one of the lesser known wines out there. Have you ever heard of champagne?
Oh yeah, they had one hell of an ad campaign back in the day.
I have heard of Champagne by the Continental on Saturday Night Live. It was portrayed by Christopher Walken. But what's champagne?
Oh, the champagne. Wow.
There you go. Champagne.
Wowie zowie.
How did you have that ready so quickly? How perfect.
He's always with me.
Oh, is he?
Always with me.
Hold on, I'm going to bring something up for Jerry. I'm going to put it into. I'm going to put this into the chat here.
Yeah. Warren, how did you just walk into that one?
Champagne is a brand of malt liquor that was being sold as. Well,
I'm getting the link.
I didn't know it was malt liquor.
My browser's really slow, Laney. I'm sorry, it's taking a moment to load up.
That was one of the first alcoholic beverages I've had in my youth was champagne. I'm pretty sure it was nasty.
Okay, he's got it.
So,
get set for living. Go champagne.
There was it was kind of an amusing story. My mother wanted to buy me, knew that I liked single malt scotch, and decided that she wanted to get me some good single malt. But I wanted to ask my sister-in-law for advice and said, well, Lainey really, really likes malt liquor. So I'm going to get her some malt liquor. And I almost ended up with a case of Colt 45. My sister-in-law, who is infinitely wiser than all of us put together, quickly set her straight. And I ended up with a lovely bottle of Ardbeg Ugadel.
Nice.
That's much better than Colt 45.
So, Lainey, remind everybody once more time where they can find you, at what day, what time here in Chicago, and also your webpage where they can also stream it afterwards. Or do you live stream the radio broadcast at the same time online? Or
yes, it is. It is live streamed on when we're live. Now we pre-recorded the last two shows because they were on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. But normally technically 10:06 a.m. because there's the top of the hour stuff. Again, terrestrial radio. We're Central Time on Sunday mornings. WCGORadio.com, 1590 AM, 95.9 FM in the Chicago area. And we stream to our Facebook page and to our YouTube channel. And it is also, the show is then going to be available as a podcast, and you can find it on most of your favorite podcast services. You can also go to chicagowinereport.substack.com and sign up for our newsletter there. And it's free. And you'll just get 2 newsletters every week with the podcast and the information about the next upcoming shows. You can also, of course, find me on Thursdays on Hardlands Media's Civically Minded. That's my brand on Hardlands Media. And that's at 4 p.m. Central Time. And that's, Rockfin, Rumble, Odyssey, and YouTube.
Very good. Everybody, you have your marching orders. Check out Lainey on Sunday mornings, and you can find all the information there at her Substack, Chicago Wine Report, Substack.com.
Natalie, I wanted to. I'm seeing all her pickles in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Natalie, happy New Year, and we're looking forward. I'm going to be going out a little while tomorrow night myself, so I'm looking forward to the new year and coming into the new year and doing a lot more stuff.
Here to a better 2023, putting 2022 behind us.
Indeed.
You know, I had one final story. Lainey, you want to stick around, or if you got to cut out, I don't want to hold you up by a minute. Thank you for sharing that very, very important breaking news story.
I think it's incredibly important. I have to get going because I'm getting tired myself, but it's great to see you. Great to see you, Uncle Warren. I'll try to show up. I know he's one of these days. Okay.
I always miss you and your pickles. All right.
Bye-bye.
Night night, lady. Thank you for everything.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Bye. There we go. All right. So yeah, we are at the end of the year and we're facing the new year. So I had one story to share at the ending here, but actually this should probably precede it because the second story doesn't make much sense if you haven't been out partying or doing something. So Yacht Club Chicago reports, here's how to catch Navy Pier's New Year's Eve fireworks. The famed downtown spot will host a countdown to the new year Saturday night when a fireworks display once the clock hits midnight. The pier will be open at 10 a.m. Saturday to 1 a.m. Sunday for New Year's Eve, according to the city. People can also grab tickets to Navy Pier's exclusive event at the Aeon Grand Ballroom, New Year on the Pier. There will be live entertainment, a dance floor, drinks, appetizers, and more. According to Navy Pier's website, people can buy general admission tickets or snag tables, VIP tickets, and more. Attendees must be 21 or older. Well, as you all know, people generally just park on Lakeshore Drive that don't pay for the front seats at these high-priced events on the Pier. So I'm sure that that's what's going to be happening. But more importantly, wherever you are on New Year's Eve, if you have decided to, have a good time, celebrate the new year with the countdown and champagne, please make sure that you do not drink and drive. And to that end, the CTA is offering free bus and L rides for New Year's Eve. Travelers will not need to tap their Venture cards or pay in any other way to get onto buses or into L stations late Saturday into early Sunday. The city is encouraging all revelers to take public transportation for the holidays. This is our community service portion of the show as we wrap up, as it is the most affordable, convenient, and environmentally friendly way to travel, according to a news release. As part of that, the CTA will offer free bus and L rides 10 p.m. Saturday to 4 a.m. Sunday, according to the city's Office of Emergency Management and Communications. Travelers will not need to tap their Venture cards or pay in any other way to get onto buses or into L stations. There will be normal CTA service Sunday. Check the CTA's website for more information.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice that they do that, and they've been doing this for a while with the New Year's Eve free bus service, and I think they're doing it on the trains too. I will have to don't quote me on that, but they used to do bus and trains for free on New Year's Eve. But we'll see if the CTA is that generous. Though we would prefer that they do this 365.
Yeah, we would. Free public transportation.
But it's a start.
Definitely.
All right. So one last note to everybody out there before we finish up our last show of the year. Tomorrow, all day, Carbaros Media, in conjunction with Sabby Sabs, Hardlands Media, Chicago Corner will be hosting the AM panels. Now you can tune in AM and PM. I just happened to grab the graphic that we have for our thumbnail on YouTube. That's the AM. But we will be broadcasting all day. Well, they will be broadcasting all day long, simulcast across Hardlands Media, Chicago Corner, and Sabby Sabs' channel. Now, Kira and I will be hosting the morning panels from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. Chicago time would be... Thank you. 10 a.m. starting in Chicago will be going on. Our first panel, which Warren and Jimmy will be joining us for, is the viral video roundup. And boy, Warren, do we have some funny videos to get reactions from you and Jimmy on. And by the way, if you or Jimmy have a couple videos you want to share, we're trying to get bite-sized nugget videos, like something that's not more than a minute. But if you and Jimmy, hey, Jimmy, there she is in the live chat. You guys have a couple of videos you want to share. I don't know, put them on a Google Drive or something, or send them to me so I can put them in the main folder that I'm just going to be clicking our videos from. So that's going to be I'm sorry.
The only video I have is the court video with the guy masturbating with the pickles.
Well, I guess we can probably forego that one. But that starts at 10 a.m. 11 a.m. we have the Don't Look Up Life Imitates Art panel with Case Study QB, Jimmy, myself, and Kira. Kira takes the 12 p.m. Slot there. Wait, is it 12? My 10, 11. Yes. Kira will then be taking the 12 p.m. slot with the mental well-being panel. I know Jimmy's going to be on that panel. I believe Teresa's going to be on that panel. I don't know. Kira's
Gary Drapic is going to be on there. I hope I'm pretty.
Thank you. Okay. And
I'm looking at the schedule
they will
here.
basically be talking about the impact of like news on our mental health, as well as just mental health issues in general and trauma and how to navigate this crazy thing we call life. And then the final panel will be Akira, Kit, and Fair and Balanced, who is the co-host of Monday's Hardlands Media. She's got her own channel on YouTube. Please check her out. She's phenomenal. Fair and Balanced, a news journalist out of Washington, D.C., who's also from Chicago. And we will be covering the top 10 news stories in the Chicago news cycle from this year, all of which we reported on here at Chicago Corner. Yes, KRTD Media, we are looking forward to it too, and we're very, very grateful you invited us to participate in this and be the morning panel hosts. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got everything set up. I have my special dashboard set up at Kerberos Media with all of my little drop-ins and bells and whistles that we use here at Chicago Corner. So the wider audience that hasn't discovered Chicago Corner yet will get a sense and a taste of what we're all about. Hopefully join us as we also give extra exposure to Case Study QB and Fair and Balanced, as well as Warren and Jimmy and Hardlands Media. So that's the plan for tomorrow. I hope you can all join us. Any special New Year's resolutions you guys want to share with us before we wrap up tonight?
Resolutions?
What's that?
I'm going to say I'm going to try to tone down this machismo and sexiness, this sexual animal magnetism that I have. I'm going to try to tamp it down a little. Who am I fooling? I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm sorry. I got nothing. I don't know. Be a better person.
I think in the coming year, I'm gonna try to play less annoying Lori Lightfoot videos.
Oh, you can't do that.
Cool.
I don't feel too good now.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm gonna need an adult and an adult beverage.
A shower and a shower after that.
Shower, 8 of them.
Oh, that just hurt my soul. Why did I play that?
I know. We were doing so good, Ed. You had a piss in the punch. God damn it.
I got you, bastards. I got you.
I agree with
what
Jimmy.
I got.
I was actually thinking the same thing. I have no resolutions. If anything, I'm going to drink more and party more because I just don't do it anyway. I need to like have more fun in my life. So I got to like embrace the revelries and be a little less.
Can I say one thing about Jimmy though, that that's no lie. She is a sarcastic delight.
Oh, I know she is. We all know she is. She's
sarcastically delightful. Very, very delightful.
And I think Oreo's going to try to knock my camera down less and jump on my keyboard when I'm in the middle of running a show. Little Oreo does.
That's my thing. I see a cat. I got
it somewhere.
Did he run when he did that? It's like, what?
Kitty!
What do you want, Warren?
Kitty!
Thank you so much for joining me tonight as we wrap up Chicago Corner's 2022 year. Uncle Warren, we will see you tomorrow. Thank you for all you do. Oh,
I'm sorry. Can I quickly plug what's going on this weekend too? It's actually in conjunction with what you guys are doing tomorrow. So midnight Eastern here we will have our regular Extra Bullet Secret Show, but of course it'll be our special New Year's Eve, because as we go on, we'll be going on a little earlier with the music. Normally we start our music at it's 15 minutes of music, then we start the show, but we're going to be doing it early so we could, as soon as it hits midnight here, we will start the secret show on my Extra Bullet channel. And I believe at 1 a.m. we're going to be doing like a crossover episode, whereas we're secret show is actually going to be on Chicago Corner. It's going to be on Hardlands Media and Sabby Sabs, and on Kerberos, where we're going to do an hour of the dumbest, weirdest news stories of 2022. So, and yeah, that should be fun. And I'm looking for, I think I'm on another panel tomorrow too. I'm not quite sure, but I'm definitely looking forward to being on the one at 11 a.m. my time, I think. So it's going to be great. You and Jimmy and the whole gang. I'm just looking forward. It's going to be great.
Now we did invite Ed. Ed's not going to be there, not because he was not invited, but I know you have family plans tomorrow. Otherwise, Ed would be with us also.
Yeah, well, I did have family plans, so it's kind of up in the air now. But,
if you want to jump in.
If I don't jump in, I might just jump into the live chat and hassle you guys.
Okay. You know, you should be here if you can, but I you
can't do it with your family. Do it with our family.
Yeah.
Right? We're all family, right? We're all family.
Absolutely. Warren, thank you again. Happy New Year. We'll see you tomorrow. Mr. Ed.
Am I out of the wheel?
Mr. Ed. Thanks again, buddy. It's been such a pleasure hosting with you this year. Having you be a big part of the show, an invaluable part of the show. I love Ed's humor and the fact that he can kind of ground me when I get out of control and I get all upset about things. Ed is the voice of reason here at Chicago Corner.
Yeah, which should concern everyone, in my opinion. But I'm happy to be able to round out the show and to be able to bring Jerry back down to earth occasionally. But the truth is, I'm glad to be part of this mess, because it's a lot of fun to talk about the city that you live in, and it's a lot of fun to look into all the ins and outs and find out what's really going on. And I don't know if I'd say it's fun to find out about the corruption, but it's interesting to uncover it and to be talking about it in ways that it seems that a lot of other outlets are not doing. So it's nice to be able to fill a gap in the information where we're able to provide something to the rest of you that is worthwhile. So, and even if it's just our opinions on stuff. So, because, I wouldn't have come up with the name for the Chicago Corner Manifesto, or even possibly the idea to start writing one, if it hadn't been me being part of this thing called Chicago Corner. And also, it was kind of nice to be able to keep droning on long enough for Jerry to find the button so he could hit me back with the thing I hit him with on Tuesday.
You know who else is very thankful that you ground me, Ed? I've told you this before. My mother. He's such a nice man. Jerry, sometimes you go a little out of control. Aren't you worried about getting in trouble? She asked me the other day, with all the stuff you say about Lori Lightfoot, aren't you worried about getting in trouble? Like, trouble for what? Well, what if you make people angry and they want to come down? I'm like, Mom, what country are we living in? I thought it was the USA. But, unfortunately, my mom realizes, subconsciously we live in an authoritarian society where apparently you're supposed to be worried about what you say. And I said, well, we're not libeling her. We're not slandering her. We're not defaming her.
We are making fun of her, though.
That's a God-given American right.
Yeah, we're allowed to do that. It's we're allowed to do parody. We're allowed to have opinions and criticize our public officials. And yeah, sometimes we go a little over the top, but it's fun, isn't it?
Absolutely. All right, my friend. I will hopefully see you tomorrow if you can join us on the show or in the live chat. Meanwhile, to everybody else out there, I hope that going into this weekend, you make sure to stay very, very safe. get your resolutions together. We have a new year. We will hopefully have a new mayor. And in the meantime, as you go into that weekend of New Year's, please make sure that you stay safe, watch out for each other, be vigilant, take care of each other, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. As always, oh, by the way, one really quick note also, Ed and I are on vacation next week. We are giving ourselves a week off. So we will return the second week of January. I don't know that we're going to have any alternate programming next Tuesday or Friday, but for all we do here, we need a holiday break. Unless there's some really, really important breaking news, and we will jump all over bringing that to you all. But in the meantime, cut us some slack. We needed some time off ourselves. So please remember, if it's happening on the streets, you'll hear about it here on Chicago Corner. Stay safe, everyone.
Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.